The king did not die beneath the boar. For most men in the royal party, that was a mercy. For some, it was a disaster. The beast had come from the bracken like a curse-given tusks, black and low and furious, with burrs caught in its hide and old scars ridged along its shoulders. It had been Robert's kind of monster, stupid and honest, all muscle and rage, the sort of thing he understood better than whisperers, ledgers, debts, children with golden hair, and women who smiled with knives behind their teeth. When it charged, the lesser hunters scattered. Hounds shrieked, horses bucked. Men who had boasted all morning of their courage found sudden business behind trees. Robert laughed. That laugh had once shaken battlefields. It had once rolled over the trident while rubies flew from a prince's breastplate, and a realm changed shape beneath the hammer blow. Now it came rougher, thick with wine and years, but it was still his laugh, still loud enough to shame fear out of men. "Mine!" he roared, and planted his feet in the wet leaves. The boar struck him like a ram against a gate. Steel went in, tusk went in. The world became brown mud, gray rain, the stink of torn earth, the scream of horses, and the king's huge hands closing around a spear shaft as though he meant to throttle death by its own handle. He fell, but not before driving the blade deeper, not before wrenching the haft sideways with a bellow that made even the dying beast shudder. The boar kicked. Robert kicked back. The beast's hoof scraped his greave. His boot crushed into its throat. Men came rushing in then, too late for glory and too soon for honesty. Lancel stood frozen with an empty wineskin dangling from his fingers. The rain found every face. "Your Grace," someone cried. The old knight in white was there first, because old vows had trained his bones to move faster than thought. Barristan dropped to one knee in the mud, cloak soaking, bright armor dulled by forest filth. He pressed both hands against the wound with a firmness that would have killed a weaker man from pain alone. Robert did not scream. He grunted, cursed, spat bloodless phlegm, and tried to sit. "Did I kill it?" "Hey," Barristan said, voice steady because he had seen kings bleed before, and knew that fear in the guard became fear in the realm. "You killed it. Good." Robert's lips peeled from his teeth in something too stubborn to be called a smile. "Fetch me wine." No one moved. Robert's eyes, small and blue under the heavy shelf of his brow, rolled toward Lancel. The boy took one step forward, then another. His hands shook so badly the skin slapped against his belt. "Not him," Robert said. The command was not loud. That made it worse. The forest seemed to bend around it. Lancel stopped as if an arrow had struck his throat. "Your Grace?" Renly's voice came from behind Barristan, soft as velvet over a blade. He had been handsome even in fear, the younger brother, clean-bearded and bright-eyed, dressed for a hunt as though the trees themselves might admire him. But the color had gone out of him. "You are hurt. We must get you back." "I said not him." Robert's gaze stayed on Lancel. The boy's mouth opened. No sound came. Pain passed over Robert's face like cloud shadow. He turned his head and vomited wine into the leaves. The men around him stared. There was too much wine in it, even for Robert. Too much for the hour. Too much for the hunt. Too much even for a king who had emptied casks since sunrise. It came sour and dark, and when he had done, Robert breathed like a forged bellows. Barristan saw. Renly saw. A huntsman crossed himself. Another looked away, because a man who saw the wrong thing at the wrong hour might never see another dawn. "Get me to camp," Robert said. The pavilion had been raised in haste among oaks stripped by rain. Men built fires that smoked more than warmed. Maester's servants ran with boxes of salves and boiled linen. The royal surgeon, a thin man whose courage had never before been asked to stand within shouting distance of a king's mortality, worked with needle and wine-soaked thread while Robert gripped the side of a table hard enough to splinter it. The wound was ugly but not instantly mortal. The tusk had torn deep along the side and belly, But the boar had struck lower than the heart and higher than the groin. A man could die of such a wound. A man could also live if fever did not claim him. If the bleeding stopped, if the gods chose amusement over tidiness. Robert chose rage. He passed out twice. Each time he woke cursing. At dusk, with rain tapping on the pavilion roof and the forest outside whispering like courtiers, Ned arrived. He came spattered with road mud and worry, his injured leg bound stiffly from the fight outside the brothel days before. His face gray with pain he refused to show. He had ridden from the city because the message had been written in the careful, terrible hand of men who did not want to say the king was dying, but dared not say he was well. When Ned ducked under the canvas, the smell struck him first. Sweat, smoke, wet wool, boiled herbs, and the coppery truth of open flesh. Robert lay on a campaign bed too narrow for him, beard tangled, skin flushed, great chest rising and falling beneath linen bandages. He looked smaller than he had any right to look. That frightened Ned more than blood would have. For a heartbeat, Ned saw not the king but the boy from the Eyrie, laughing with a stolen apple in his hand, full of wickedness and charm, promising that one day they would ride every road in the realm and drink every lord dry. He saw the youth with a war hammer over one shoulder, mud up to his knees, calling him brother while banners cracked red and black and gold above the trident. He saw the husband who had never loved his queen, the father who had never known his children, the king who had hidden from ruling inside cups and hunts and women's arms. He saw all of him, and grief tightened like a fist. Robert opened one eye. "You look like a corpse, Ned. So do you." Robert barked a laugh, regretted it instantly, and clutched his side. "Seven hells, don't make me laugh. You sent for me?" "I sent for wine. They brought me leeches, milk of the poppy in my sour-faced hand. The gods hate me. The gods may have spared you. The gods are fools, then." Robert shifted, breath hissing. "Say, you're limping worse than I am." Ned sat on a stool near the bed. Barristan stood by the entrance, silent. Renly lingered deeper in the pavilion, watching both brothers and old friend as if trying to decide which grief might profit him and which might kill him. Lancel was nowhere to be seen. Robert noticed Ned looking. "Hey," he said. "The cub's hiding." Lancel poured for me all morning. Poured like he was trying to drown a whale. Every time my cup emptied, there he was. Soft hands and soft mouth, saying the queen wished me good sport. Ned's face hardened. Robert saw it. "You know something." The rain filled the pause. Ned had come with the truth already burning in him. He had meant to speak it before the hunt, before the forest, before boar tusks and bandages and fever. He had meant to spare the children if he could. He had meant to give Cersei a chance to flee. Mercy had always looked clean in the mind before it stepped into the world and met consequence. "Robert," he said, and the name alone seemed to carry them back 15 years, away from crowns and councils. "There is a matter we must speak of." Renly's attention sharpened. Barristan did not move, but the stillness of him changed. Robert's good eye narrowed. "Leave us." "Your Grace," Barristan said. "I should remain." "I said leave us, not far. If I shout, come running. If I stop breathing, come faster." The old knight bowed, reluctant but obedient. Renly hesitated. "You too," Robert said. "I'm your brother. You're a peacock in a green doublet. Out." Renly's smile appeared and died at once. He bowed and went. Only when the pavilion flap fell did Ned speak. "The children are not yours." Robert stared at him. The fire cracked. Outside, a horse stamped, and somewhere far away, a hound bayed at nothing. Ned forced the words out before pity could weaken them. "Joffrey Myrcella Tommen. They were born of the queen and her brother." The king's face did not change in any simple way. No single feeling could conquer it. At first there was confusion, as if Ned had spoken in a foreign tongue. Then, insult. Then the old warlike fury came rising, familiar and terrible. But beneath it, Before the fury covered everything, Ned saw something worse. He saw Robert understand. Men like Robert often seemed blind because blindness suited them. They drank not only because they were thirsty. They laughed not only because the world was funny. They took women, hunted beasts, started arguments, ended councils early, and called for more music because silence had claws. Some truths had been near him for years, breathing under the bed, scratching behind the wall. He had refused to hear them. Now they came all at once. "Say that again," Robert whispered. Ned did. Each word felt like lame stones on a grave. Robert turned his face toward the pavilion roof. Rain's shadow rippled across the canvas. His hands opened and closed on the blanket. "Jon Arryn," he said. "Yes." He knew. "I believe so." "And they killed him." "I believe so." "Cersei." Ned said nothing. Robert began to laugh. This time it was no laugh at all, but a broken animal sound, torn from someplace deeper than humor. It shook him until pain bent him double. Ned reached for him, but Robert batted the hand away. "My children," Robert said, still laughing without mirth. Gods be good. I called that boy son. That golden little shit sat at my table and sneered at me with Jaime's face. And I did not see. And I. You were deceived. I was drunk. You were deceived, Ned said again. Because friendship required some lies to stand between a man and the pit. Robert turned his head. The eye that fixed on Ned was wet, though whether from fever, pain, or shame Ned could not tell. "Do you have proof?" Ned gave him the book, the lineages, the old records of Baratheon black hair and Lannister gold. He spoke of Gendry at the forge, of Bara in the brothel, of every bastard Robert had sown without love, but with a truth in their faces that the court had never cared to read. He spoke of Cersei's admission in the Godswood, and at that Robert went very still. "You spoke to her?" "Yes." "You warned her." Ned did not look away. "I told her to take the children and flee." The silence that followed had weight. Robert's voice came low. "You warned her before me. I meant to spare the children." "The children." Robert's mouth twisted. "Not mine, though. Still children. Jaime's whelps. Still children." The king closed his eyes. For a moment, Ned thought rage might carry him beyond speech. But when he opened them again, they held something colder than rage. "Bring Barristan." Ned stood, each movement slow because his leg had begun to throb. "Robert, bring him." Barristan entered at once. "Seal the camp," Robert said. "No one rides for the city without my word. No raven flies. Find Lancel. Put him under guard gently if he comes. Less gently if he runs. Send men I trust to the King's Road. I leave within the hour." "You cannot ride," Ned said. Robert looked at him as if insulted by anatomy. "Then carry me." "Your Grace," Barristan said. The wound will hurt whether I lie here like a butchered ox or go home to tear out the rot in my house." Robert tried to sit, failed, and used the failure as fuel. "Fetch a litter. Fetch horses. Fetch every man in white who remembers his vows and every stag banner not too drunk to stand. And Barristan? Your Grace? If my wife's cousin asks for wine, pour it on the ground." The old knight bowed. Ned and Robert were alone again, only for the space of a breath. Outside, the camp had already begun to change from panic into purpose. Men shouted. Hooves moved. Steel buckled around bodies. Rumor, that winged rat, scurried from fire to fire finding crumbs. Robert gripped Ned's wrist before he could turn. "If I die on the road," he said, "you will not warn her again." Ned met his eyes. "No," he said. "Swear it." "I swear." The king nodded. His hand fell back to the blanket. The strength went out of him so suddenly Ned feared death had taken the oath as invitation. But Robert breathed on, ragged and stubborn, the same as always. At midnight they lifted him into the litter, and the royal party began its crawl back toward King's Landing through rain, torch smoke, and the first shiver of a realm that did not yet know it had been spared one war, only to be offered another. Behind them in the forest, the boar lay stiffening among the leaves. Men would later say the beast had been sent by the gods, or by the queen, or by fate, depending on which story best suited the wine they were drinking. Songs would make it larger. Septons would make it moral. Small folk would say the king fought it for an hour, that he broke its spine with his hands, that his blood smoked when it touched the ground. None of that was true. The truth was simpler and more dangerous. The boar wounded Robert badly enough to make him listen, but not badly enough to silence him. And in King's Landing, where Cersei still believed the old fool was dying, the lamps of the Red Keep burned late. Cersei woke before dawn, though she had scarcely slept. The city below her windows did not yet know what it was meant to become. That was the way of cities. They woke, traded, cursed, pissed in alleys, opened shutters, baked bread, sharpened knives, and only later discovered whether they had been loyal, treasonous, doomed, or saved. From the Queen's chamber, the roofs of King's Landing sloped toward the Blackwater like a field of dull red scales. Smoke rose from cook fires. Bells sounded from septs. The smell came up as it always did. Salt, dung, fish, sweat, and too many lives pressed together beneath summer heat. The king should have been dead by now. That was the thought she did not allow herself to think in words. It circled her all the same, a golden cat around a cradle. He should have drunk enough. Lancel had been told gently, sweetly, with praise and soft touches, and the promise of being noticed by the queen he feared and adored. Robert would never refuse wine from a pretty boy with Lannister blood. He had never refused wine from anyone. Then the boar, the wound, the fever, the milk of the poppy, the slow, thickening breath. It should have been done. Cersei had imagined grief as a garment she would wear well. Black suited her when trimmed in gold. Instead, no raven had come. Silence was not always failure. Silence could be confusion, delay, rain, frightened men unsure what words to set to parchment. Yet Cersei disliked silence when it was not hers. Joffrey paced near the table where a little iron throne had been crafted for him by some sycophant who understood the boy's appetites too well. He touched its sharp points with restless fingers. "When will they bring his body?" he asked. Cersei turned from the window. "Do not speak so loudly. He is dying. Everyone knows. Everyone knows what they are told to know. I am to be king. You are to be patient." Joffrey's green eyes flashed. They were Jaime's eyes, though in Jaime there had been warmth once. Laughter, boldness, the reckless sunlit arrogance of a boy born beautiful and skilled and told by the world that every door was meant to open. In Joffrey, the same green had curdled. It held grievance without suffering, pride without achievement, cruelty without courage. Cersei loved him with the blind ferocity of a lioness. She also knew him. "Grand Maester says father cannot survive such a wound," Joffrey said. "Grand Maester says what he is paid to say. I want to see him crowned before the court. I want Stark made to kneel. Lord Stark is still hand until your father dies. Then we will make him kneel after." Cersei crossed the room and took his chin in her fingers. "Listen to me. You will smile. You will speak softly. You will thank the lords for their loyalty. You will call Stark our beloved friend, if I command it. You will not threaten him in public. Not yet. No. Why? He insulted me. He suspects us." That silenced him, though not with fear. Joffrey's mouth tightened, offended by danger rather than humbled by it. Across the chamber, Tommen sat with a carved wooden stag in his lap, turning it over and over. Myrcella stood beside him, one hand on his shoulder. She was old enough to understand tone if not meaning, old enough to know when adults spoke around a precipice. "Mother," she said, "is father truly going to die?" For one dangerous heartbeat, Cersei nearly answered honestly. "He is not your father." The words rose like wine sickness. She swallowed them. "The king is strong," she said. Joffrey laughed. Cersei's hand moved faster than thought. The slap cracked across his face. Tommen flinched. Myrcella went pale. Joffrey stared at his mother with a wonder more wounded than pain. "You will not laugh," Cersei said softly. "Not in this room. Not before me. Not before them. Not until I tell you laughter is safe." The door opened before the boy could answer. Pycelle shuffled in, robes whispering, chain clinking against his narrow chest. His beard trembled in the way it always did when he wished others to mistake performance for age. "Your Grace," he began. Cersei knew from his face that he brought nobody. Well. The hunting party departed the Kingswood before midnight." "Departed?" "Yes, Your Grace." "With the king?" Pycelle's mouth worked once. "With the king? Alive?" "So it would appear." The room changed. Not visibly. The candles burned as before. Tommen clutched his toy. Joffrey's cheek reddened beneath the shape of her hand. Yet everything shifted, as if the floor had become ice under a rug. Cersei did not move. Queens survived by making stillness look like mastery. "How badly wounded?" she asked. "Reports are confused." "Reports are always confused when men are afraid. Use what remains of your mind." Pycelle lowered his eyes. "Badly wounded, Your Grace. Fever possible. Much blood lost. But he gave commands." Commands. That was the word that mattered. Not breathing. Not carried. Not groaning. Commands. What commands? The camp was sealed. No ravens until after midnight. Lancel has been placed under guard. Mayan. Joffrey said, "Why?" Cersei did not look at him. Pycelle licked his lips. "Ser Barristan rides with the party. Lord Stark as well." There it was, the blade sliding between ribs. Ned had spoken, or Robert had suspected, or Lancel had broken, or all three. A plan did not need to fail in one way. It could shatter generously. Cersei dismissed Pycelle with a tilt of her head before he could watch too much. The old fool bowed his way backward, grateful to escape with his beard attached. When the door closed, she went to the table and poured wine. She did not drink it. "Mother," Myrcella whispered. Cersei set the cup down. "Dress," she said. Joffrey's anger returned because he preferred it to confusion. "For what?" "For your life." She summoned maids, guards, cousins, messengers. She sent one man to the city barracks, and another to the harbor. She sent a third to find Baelish, because coin could still move faster than honor. She sent a fourth to Varys, though she knew the spider would already know and would come only if coming suited him. She ordered Joffrey clothed in crimson and gold, not black. Black would admit too much. She ordered Tommen and Myrcella dressed plainly, warmly, with cloaks fit for travel. When the nurse asked if the children were leaving the castle, Cersei looked at her until the woman forgot the question. Jaime was gone. That absence beat inside her like a second heart. He had ridden west after wounding Stark, furious and bright, leaving her to manage the court. She had loved his rage then. Now she cursed it. Jaime with a sword in the throne room was a fact even Robert would have to reckon with. Jaime in the Riverlands was merely a rumor with golden hair. By sunrise, Baelish came. He entered smiling, of course. He always smiled as though life were a private joke told against everyone else. His clothes were immaculate. His beard pointed. His eyes quick enough to count exits and weaknesses at once. "Your Grace," he said. "Troubling weather. D. Spare me." A rare request at court. She stepped close enough that he could smell her perfume. "The king lives. So whispers inform me." "Whispers inform you because you purchased them. A man must invest in reliable markets. Can you hold the gold cloaks?" His smile thinned by one hair's breadth. "The city watch serves the crown. My son is the crown. Not while his father breathes." Cersei held his gaze. Breathing can stop. Certainly. It is among the most common habits to end. I am not in the mood for riddles. No? I imagine not. She wanted to strike him as she had struck Joffrey, but Baelish was not a boy, and humiliation would not teach him obedience. Men like him had to be bought, trapped, or killed. Sometimes all three. You promised support, she said. I promised wisdom. Support is more expensive. Money. And time. You will have Harrenhal. Everyone offers Harrenhal when frightened. It is remarkable how generous terror makes the great houses with ruined castles. Name your price. Baelish glanced toward the window, where daylight slowly found the red stones of the keep. Survival. You think Stark will give you that? I think Lord Stark will offer honor. It is a beautiful coin, but difficult to spend. Then stand with us. With whom, precisely? A queen whose husband suspects her, a prince not yet crowned, a king's guard twin inconveniently absent, a father in the west preparing for war, and 3 children who may shortly become the subject of the realm's most dangerous arithmetic. Nani and Baia. Cersei's face hardened. Baelish bowed slightly. Forgive me. I count for a living. You forget yourself. Never. That is why I am still alive. Before Cersei could answer, the door opened again, though no one had announced a visitor. Varys glided in wearing lavender silk in sorrow. Oh dear, he said. The morning grows crowded. Get out, Cersei said. Gladly, if that is wisdom. Regretfully, if it is danger. I find the two often dress alike. Baelish looked amused. Lord Varys. Lord Baelish. I see we have all come early to admire the weather. Cersei turned from one to the other. Can either of you do anything useful? Varys folded his hands into his sleeves. Useful to whom? To your queen. Ah, he sighed. Then, yes, perhaps. But your grace must understand, power is a delicate bird. Grip too hard and it dies. Open your hand and it flies away. At present, the bird appears to be perched upon a wounded stag. Idea. Baelish gave a soft laugh. Cersei said, if Robert enters this city alive, he will kill me. Perhaps, Varys said. Perhaps not. You know him poorly. I know rage. Rage is swift. Kingship is slower. Lord Stark will counsel mercy for the children. Ser Barristan will counsel law. Lord Renly will counsel whatever path places him closest to opportunity. Lord Stannis, when he arrives, will counsel iron. When he arrives, will counsel iron. At the name, Joffrey sneered. Stannis has no friends. An excellent qualification for justice, Varys murmured. Cersei looked at Joffrey. Silence. The boy flushed again, not from pain this time, but hatred. Baelish walked to the table and touched the little iron throne with one finger. There is one move. Cersei waited. Secure the Red Keep before Robert reaches it. Control the gates. Control the ravens. Control the treasury. Present him not with rebellion, but with concern. A wounded king is easily protected from dangerous counsel, especially if dangerous counsel has a northern name. Stark, Cersei said. Stark, Baelish agreed. Varys watched him through soft dark eyes. A bold game. A necessary one. And if the king speaks before the court? Baelish shrugged. Then the court must be composed of those who know which king will live longest. Cersei looked at him then, truly looked, and saw that he had not chosen her. Not yet. He had chosen the moment, and would ride it until it tired beneath him. Go, she said. Speak to Janos. Promise him whatever he wants. He wants certainty. Then lie beautifully. Baelish bowed and left. Varys remained. Cersei hated him more in stillness than she hated Baelish in motion. And you? I shall do what I have always done. Skulk. Listen. He turned toward the door. then paused. "Your Grace, a small kindness, though you have not asked for one. Do not let the boy command anything today. My son is heir to the throne. Indeed, that is why he is dangerous." When he had gone, Cersei stood among her children and felt the keep waking around her. Footsteps multiplied. Armor sounded in corridors. Doors closed with too much care. Somewhere below, a raven screamed. Joffrey said, "I will not be kept silent." Cersei crossed to him, placed both hands on his shoulders, and bent until her eyes were level with his. "You will do as I say," she whispered, "or you will die wearing a crown no one has placed on your head." For the first time that morning, fear reached him. Good, she thought. Better fear than pride. Pride had no ears. Outside, the city gates opened to the day. By noon, riders from the Kingswood would be seen on the road. By afternoon, the first rumors would reach Flea Bottom that the king lived, that the queen had tried to flee, that Lord Stark had murdered a boar with his bare hands, that the prince was not the prince, that lions had been seen climbing the walls of the Red Keep, that every bell in the city would soon ring for wedding, war, or execution. By evening, all the careful lies of 15 years would have to stand before a wounded man who had once split armor with a hammer. Cersei went to the mirror. The woman who looked back was beautiful still, golden still, frightened only in ways no one else could read. She dressed herself in crimson. If Robert wanted war in his house, he would find a queen waiting for him. The gates of the Red Keep open to a king who should have been a corpse. That was how the first singer later shaped the line, and for once singers did not improve the truth by much. Robert came through beneath a canopy of wet black cloth, carried by 6 men whose faces had been emptied by the strain of bearing a wounded realm upon their shoulders. His beard was uncombed. His skin shone with fever sweat. A bandage had reddened beneath his ribs despite the surgeon's work, yet his eyes were open. That mattered more than banners. Ned rode beside the litter, grim and pale, one hand on the saddle and the other near his sword, though his leg made every jolt a punishment. Barristan rode on the other side in white armor dulled by travel. Behind them came hunters, knights, servants, and men-at-arms, whose frightened silence did more than any herald could have done. The yard filled before the litter stopped. Courtiers appeared at windows. Servants froze with baskets in their hands. Gold cloaks gathered near the inner gate with the uneasy posture of men who had been given orders by too many masters. Red-cloaked Lannister guards stood along the steps, bright as drops of blood against stone. Renly dismounted behind the king, face composed, eyes alive. He had ridden most of the way close enough to be seen as loyal, and far enough not to be crushed if the litter became a bier. Cersei waited at the top of the steps. She had chosen crimson, not mourning black. Her hair fell in gold waves over her shoulders. Joffrey stood to her right, magnificent and poisonous. Tommen and Myrcella were absent. That was wise, Ned thought. Or dangerous. With Cersei, wisdom and danger often held hands. "My lord husband," she called, voice carrying over the yard, smooth as polished stone. "The gods are good." Robert looked up at her. No one breathed. "Are they?" he said. It was not loud. The yard heard it anyway. Cersei descended 2 steps. "You must be taken inside. Grand Maester must tend you. You should not have ridden in this state. I gave commands. You are hurt." "I noticed." Joffrey stepped forward. "Father." Robert's gaze moved to him, and the boy stopped as surely as if a spear had touched his chest. There were many cruelties in the world, but few so intimate as looking at a child and searching for your own face there. Robert had done it carelessly for years, and found only disappointment. Now he looked with knowledge. He saw the hair, the eyes, the fine nose, the tilt of the chin, the mouth already shaped for contempt. He looked for anything of himself and found nothing but the memory of having pretended. "Do not call me that," he said. The yard changed again. Cersei's hand closed around the fabric of her gown. Joffrey went red, then white. Men glanced at one another and wished they had been born farmers. Ned felt a sickness that had nothing to do with his leg. Truth was necessary. Truth was also a blade that did not care where children stood. Cersei recovered first. "Robert, fever has taken your sense. Fever has given it back. Inside," she said, voice lower now. "We will speak inside. Oh, we will speak." Robert tried to rise from the litter. Pain smashed him down, but the attempt alone sent men hurrying. "Throne room." Ned leaned close. "You should rest." "I rested 15 years. Barristan looked to Ned, and Ned saw in the old knight's face the same fear he felt. Not that Robert would die, but that he would spend his last strength on rage and leave only ashes to govern. But Robert was king, and stubbornness had carried weaker men farther. They brought him to the throne room. The Iron Throne waited beneath high windows, black and barbed. 1,000 defeated swords melted into one vast warning. No king had ever properly heeded. Robert had never looked comfortable on it. He had sprawled, shifted, cursed its edges, and complained that Aegon had been a madman or a showman or both. Now, he did not climb it. He had them set his litter at its base. That, more than taking the throne, frightened the court. A king below the blades looked less like a ruler than a judge. The hall filled by summons and by rumor. Small counselors came, some hastily dressed. Pycelle trembled beneath his chain. Varys looked mournful. Baelish looked interested. Renly stood near the pillars with several storm lords who had arrived for court, and now understood they might be asked to choose a side before supper. The Hound brought Joffrey in at Cersei's command, though his burned face had no expression anyone could trust. Lannister guards lined one wall. Gold cloaks lined another. Between them stood fear. Robert's first command was simple. "Bring Lancel." The boy came between two knights, shaking so badly he could hardly walk. Without his court finery, he looked younger. Fear had stripped him of all borrowed pride. Cersei did not look at him. Was crueler than accusation. Robert watched him approach. "Did the queen tell you to keep my cup full?" Lancel fell to his knees at once. "Your grace, A or no?" The boy looked at Cersei then. She looked back at last, and whatever he saw finished him. "A," he whispered. The hall stirred. Robert lifted one hand and silence returned. "Did she tell you why?" "No, your grace." "Did she tell you what to pour?" "Wine, your grace." "Only wine?" Lancel's lips shook. "Strong wine. Sweet sleep only once. Not enough to kill." She said not enough to kill. Cersei went still. Pycelle closed his eyes. Ned felt the hall tilt. Robert's face became terrible in its calm. "Not enough to kill." "She said you hunted better marry," Lancel sobbed. "She said no harm. I swear it. I swear by the Seven." "You swear much too late." Cersei stepped forward. "The boy is frightened. He will say anything." Robert's head turned. "Then you deny it?" "I deny treason. That was not the question. I deny whatever madness Lord Stark has poured into your ear." At Ned's name, many faces shifted. Baelish watched him with bright amusement, as if Ned were a direwolf attempting sons. Robert said, "Lord Stark tells me your children are your brothers. There are silences that are merely the absence of sound, and there are silences that become a presence of their own, stepping into a room like an armed man. This one wore armor." Joffrey cried, "Lies!" The Hound's hand closed on the boy's shoulder before he could lunge. "Quiet," he muttered. "I am heir," Joffrey shouted. "I am prince. He cannot—" "Quiet, dog," Robert said. And though he looked at the Hound, everyone knew he meant the boy. Joffrey's mouth opened again. Sandor tightened his grip. Pain taught prudence where counsel had failed. Cersei did not deny it at once. That damned her more than confession. She looked from Robert to Ned, then to the throne behind them, then to the lords gathered like carrion birds discovering the deer still had teeth. When she spoke, her voice was soft. "You have no proof," Ned said. "There is proof enough. Her eyes found him. You were offered mercy. Robert looked between them. Offered? Ned's jaw tightened. Cersei smiled then, because even falling queens know how to cut. Your loyal friend came to me before he came to you. He warned me to flee with my children. Ask him why. No. That's I. Robert's eyes flashed toward Ned. Ned said, I told you why. Ask him, Cersei pressed. Why his honor bends so sweetly for treason when the traitors are small enough to pity. Robert shut his eyes. Pain, fever, betrayal, shame, and the public wound of kingship warred across his face. When he opened them, he looked older than Aemon on the wall. I will ask him later, he said. Now I ask you, are they mine? Cersei lifted her chin. No. The word did not ring. It fell. Joffrey made a sound like a wounded cat. The court erupted, and Robert roared over them. Silence. The roar tore his wound. Blood spread under the bandage. Barristan stepped forward, but Robert waved him back with a hand that shook. Seize the queen. Lannister guards moved. So did Barristan. So did the Storm Lords. So did half the gold cloaks, the half watching Janos rather than Cersei. Janos himself stood near the pillars, thick-necked and sweating. He had expected a dying king, perhaps a boy king, certainly a queen who could pay. He had not expected Robert alive and angry before half the realm. Baelish leaned close to him and murmured something. Janos did not move. Ned saw it. So did Varys. So did Cersei. Lord Slint, Robert said. Do you know your king? Janos swallowed. Aye, your grace. Then obey him. The commander of the city watch bent the knee so abruptly his armor clattered. Gold cloaks, in the king's name. And that was the moment Cersei lost the room. Not because she lacked courage. Not because her father lacked soldiers. Not because truth had some holy power that lies could never defeat. She lost because men who sell loyalty prefer to sell it to the buyer still breathing, still speaking, and still holding the old shape of power in his wounded hands. Barristan took Cersei by the arm. She did not struggle. She would not give them that pleasure. You will regret this, she told Robert. I already regret everything. Jaime will come. I hope he does. For the first time, her composure cracked. Fear showed through, not for herself only. For Jaime. For the children. For the golden world she had built inside Robert's neglect, and now watched collapse in public. Robert looked at Joffrey. Take him too. No, Cersei cried. Ned stepped forward. Robert, the king's face hardened. Not to the black cells. The children are to be held in Maegor's holdfast, guarded, fed, unharmed. If anyone lays a hand on them without my word, I will have that hand nailed to the gates. Ned bowed his head, relief and shame mingling. Your grace. Joffrey spat toward the litter. It landed short. Bastard, Robert said, and the words seemed to wound him as much as the boy. Get him out of my sight. The hound dragged Joffrey away, not ungently but without patience. Cersei followed between white cloaks, her eyes never leaving Robert until the doors closed. Only then did the king sag. The court remained standing, terrified by the frailty of the man who had just broken a dynasty in a single breath. Robert lifted his hand again. Ravens. Pycelle flinched. To Dragonstone. Lord Stannis is commanded to come at once. To Storm's End. The Castellan is to hold in my name. To Casterly Rock. Lord Tywin is commanded to present himself before his king and answer for war in the Riverlands and for the conduct of his house. To Winterfell. Robb is to gather strength but not move past Moat Cailin without orders. To Riverrun. Lord Hoster is under my protection. Nine. Elpin. Ned heard the names becoming roads, the roads becoming armies. Robert looked at Baelish. Treasury sealed. No coin leaves without my seal and Lord Stark's. Baelish bowed. Of course, your grace. If you betray me, I will know. Baelish smiled faintly. Then I shall endeavor to remain interesting rather than dead. Robert's mouth twitched, almost unwillingly. See that you do. To Varys, he said, find my brother's friends and my enemies. I cannot tell them apart anymore. Undio. Varys bowed lower than usual. A difficult labor, your grace, but I have always enjoyed sorting spiders from flies. Do it. Then Robert looked at Ned. For a moment, no one else existed. The hall, the throne, the swords, the lions, the Stormlords, the Whisperers, all faded. You remain hand, Robert said. Ned bent his head. As you command. No, Robert said. As I need. That struck deeper than command. Ned had no answer. The king closed his eyes, and this time when Barristan moved, Robert did not stop him. Men lifted the litter again and carried him from the hall. The court parted as if afraid the wound in his side might spill truth onto their shoes. By dusk, the queen was confined. The children were guarded. Lancel was weeping in a tower cell. Janos was promising loyalty to 3 different men and believing himself clever enough that all might be true. Baelish was rewriting his ledgers. Varys was releasing ravens he had prepared days before for outcomes no one else had imagined. Pycelle was drinking something stronger than medicine. Renly was sending quiet messages to the Reach. Ned was riding to Winterfell with a hand that paused too often over the names of his daughters. And Robert lay in the king's chamber, fever rising, one hand clenched around nothing. He had survived the Boar. Now he had to survive the truth. The Raven reached Winterfell at dawn, and by noon the North had begun to sharpen itself. Robb read the letter once in silence, then again, aloud. His voice did not break, though Bran watched closely from his wheeled chair and Rickon stared as if the parchment were a dead thing dragged in from the woods. Grey Wind stood near the high table, hackles raised without knowing why. The great hall smelled of smoke, bread, horse leather, and fear too proud to name itself. The king lives, Robb said. Father remains hand. The queen has been confined. Her children are declared false-born pending judgment. Lord Tywin is commanded to answer for attacks in the Riverlands. We are ordered to gather strength and hold north of Moat Cailin unless summoned. No, the old lords muttered. Grey Janumber laughed loud enough to shake frost from the rafters. Gather strength, is it? That means call the banners without frightening the hens. Roose Bolton's pale eyes rested on the parchment. It means the South is uncertain who rules it. It means my father commands us to be ready, Robb said. Your father? Or the king through your father? Asked Wyman Manderly, who had ridden up from White Harbor with chins, courtesy, and more ships than most men remembered he owned. Robb looked at him. Both. That answer pleased the North more than cleverness would have. They did not dislike cleverness when used against others, but they distrusted it in their own hall. Robb had been a boy yesterday. The Raven had made him older by necessity, and every eye in Winterfell measured whether the new age fit him. Catelyn stood behind his chair. She had not slept. The letter from Ned had been brief, written in the hard hand of a man surrounded by swords. It told her their daughters were safe. It told her nothing that would let her rest. Safe in King's Landing was not safe. It was a cup placed near the edge of a table. Lord Tywin will not come meekly, said Galbart Glover. No, Robb said. Then the Riverlands will burn worse. Catelyn closed her eyes for half a heartbeat. Riverrun came to her with the smell of sun on water and reeds, her father's thin hands, Edmure's easy smile, Lysa laughing before grief made a stranger of her. She had ridden south once to seize a dwarf and thought herself bold. That choice had already rolled farther than she intended. Men told women often enough that they did not make wars. Men were fools. Sometimes a war began with a woman's hand on a knife, sometimes with a queen's hand on a cup, sometimes with a mother's hand around a prisoner's arm at a crossroads inn. Robb looked to her. He still did that. Thank the gods. He looked as lord, but also as son. The banners, she said, because he needed counsel, not comfort. Call them. Do not cross the neck until your father commands it, but call them. None. ASOIAF. Greatjon grinned. There speaks a river woman with wolf's teeth. Robb nodded. Ravens to every holdfast. Riders where ravens fail. Moat Cailin is to be provisioned. White Harbor is to ready ships, but sail none south without my word. No man crosses into the Riverlands for plunder. Any who do will answer to me. The Greatjon laughed again. Hear that? The boy's got a lord's tongue at last. Robb's face flushed, but he did not smile. I am not a boy to those who take my orders. The hall quieted. Catelyn felt pride and terror together, each feeding the other. That night, Winterfell did not sleep. Smiths woke apprentices. Stable boys ran until their lungs burned. Women brought out oiled leather, winter cloaks, old helms, spearheads wrapped in cloth since Balon's rebellion. Men kissed wives in doorways and pretended it was only readiness, not war. At the Heart Tree, Catelyn found Robb standing alone beneath red leaves, the raven letter folded in his hand. You did well, she said. I sounded like father? You sounded like yourself. I do not know if that is enough. No one ever does. He looked younger in the Godswood. The white bark painted his face with moonlight. If the king dies now, then Stannis is heir, if the letter is true. The realm will not love him. Realms rarely love lawful men. They love songs, victories, weddings, and easy taxes. Would Renly claim? Catelyn hesitated. Perhaps. Would Tywin bend? No. Robb looked up through the leaves. Then father is in the middle of lions, stags, and snakes, with Sansa and Arya beside him. Yes. His hand closed around the parchment. Then I should be there. You should be where he told you to be. That angered him because it was true. I am tired of waiting while others decide whether we are safe. That's lordship. I thought lordship was command. Only children think command frees them from waiting. He looked at her then, and she nearly reached for his face. She stopped herself. Lords did not need mothers in front of gods, except all lords did, and all mothers knew it. In the south, Tywin received his raven beneath a lion banner while rain beat against oiled canvas. He read it without expression. Around him, his captains watched as men watched a cliff edge in fog. Kevan stood to one side, solid and tired. Gregor loomed near the map table, hands resting on his sword belt, his vast shoulders making the tent feel smaller. Outside, the Lannister host moved through the Riverlands with disciplined hunger. Villages burned not because Gregor lacked restraint, but because Tywin had measured terror and found it useful. When Tywin finished, he handed the parchment to Kevan. The king commands my presence, he said. Kevan read. His brow tightened. Robert lives, so the letter claims. And Cersei? Confined. The children? Named falseborn before judgment. A lesser man might have shouted. Tywin did not spend anger where calculation would suffice. His face hardened, but hardness was its natural state. Gregor's voice rumbled. Do we ride on the city? Tywin looked at him as one might look at a dog that had spoken passable Valyrian by accident. With what purpose? To take back the queen. To storm the capital, kill the king, confirm every accusation, and place a boy branded bastard upon a throne held by every lord in the realm against us. Gregor had no answer. Men like him rarely needed them. Kevan said, if Robert dies of the wound, matters change. Yes. If he lives, matters also change. Tywin moved to the map. Little carved lions marked his strength along the forks of the trident. The Riverlands lay open but not broken. River Run still held. The north had not yet come, but it would. The Vale remained a locked door. The Reach would smell opportunity. Stannis would come with grievance dressed as Law-Dotty-Wall. Renly would come smiling. Dorne would watch, remembering Elia. The Iron Islands would count ships. Across the sea, the last dragon girl carried a savage's child, if reports were true, and Robert's old fear of Targaryens might yet become useful or disastrous depending on who held the quill. "Send to Jaime," Tywin said. "He is to gather at Harrenhal and avoid rashness." Kevin's mouth twitched. Jaime avoiding rashness was a prayer, not an order. "Send to Casterly Rock. The passes are to be held. Gold moved under guard. No ship leaves Lannisport without inspection. Send riders to every house sworn to us. They are to muster, but slowly. We are not rebels. Gregor shifted. "We burned the king's lands. We punished brigands after my son was unlawfully seized." Kevin said, "That son has been released. Then our grievance evolves." Tywin touched the map near River Run. "Foster is old. Edmure is proud. The Riverlords are brave and disorganized. We continue pressure, but under banners of royal grievance. No more villages burned without purpose." Gregor's disappointment was almost childlike. "And if the king demands trial?" Kevin asked. "Then I demand one for Tyrion's seizure, Jaime's assault answered by Stark's provocation, and the slander against my grandchildren proven before the realm." "You believe they can disprove it?" Tywin's eyes lifted. Kevin lowered his gaze slightly. "Brother to brother, but not equal to equal." "Truth," Tywin said, "is not the same as proof." In King's Landing, truth had begun to stink. Every corridor carried a different version. The Queen had confessed. The Queen had not confessed. The Prince was a bastard. The Prince was trueborn. Lord Stark had bewitched the king. Renly had seized the treasury. Stannis was sailing with demons. Jaime had killed 100 men on the King's Road and was coming to cut his sister free. The king was dead. The king was drinking. The king was alive, but mad. The king had ordered all blonde children in the city drowned. The king had ordered no child touched on pain of death. The king had wept. The king had laughed. The king had risen from his sickbed and eaten a boar whole. Ned moved through these rumors with growing disgust and a limp that worsened by evening. He placed guards on his daughter's chambers, then doubled them, then doubted both sets. He moved Arya from her dancing lesson to a room nearer his own, which she received as betrayal until he told her she could keep Needle. Sansa asked after Joffrey with eyes red from crying and confusion. "Is it true?" she asked him. Ned did not ask which part. "Yes, all of it. Enough. He said he loved me." Ned had faced swords with less helplessness. "He may have believed it. That does not help." "No," Ned said. "It does not." She looked toward the window. From her chamber one could see the city, the bay, and beyond it the long road by which every girl's dream entered court and was robbed. "Will they kill him? I do not know. You are Hand. You can stop them." "I can try." She turned back, young face suddenly fierce through tears. "Then try." That was Sansa, gentle until something she loved was cornered, foolish until foolishness became mercy, proud until pride became courage. Ned kissed her brow, and she allowed it like a child for one heartbeat before remembering she was nearly a woman and turning away. Arya, by contrast, wanted to know whether she should stab anyone. "No," Ned said. "What if they come through the door? Then you run. With Needle? With your feet? That's stupid. It is survival. Syrio says the seeing, true seeing, is what matters. Syrio is not your father." "No," Arya said. "He listens better." He almost smiled. Almost. By the king's bed, Robert listened to reports until fever took him. He woke demanding names. He slept muttering Lyanna's. Once in the deep night, Ned sat beside him while the castle groaned around them and heard Robert whisper, "Did she know?" Ned thought he meant Cersei. Then he saw the tears leaking into the king's beard. "Lyanna. Always Lyanna." Even now, with a realm on the edge and a queen in a tower, Robert's grief found the dead girl first. "No," Ned said quietly. Though what Lyanna had known and not known was a graveyard locked behind his ribs. "Rest, too. I would have been different." Ned looked at his friend. "Would you?" Robert's eyes opened. Fever made them too bright. "You were always cruel when honest. You were always honest when drunk." That earned a faint snort. Then Robert said, "If I die, Stannis?" "Yes." "Not Renly?" "No. He'll try. Perhaps. Stop him. If I can. Stop Tywin. If I can. Stop me killing them." Ned went still. Robert's eyes closed again. "The children. If I wake wanting it, stop me." The words were barely sound. They were also the most kingly thing Ned had heard from him in years. "I will," Ned said. Outside, ravens flew north, west, east, and south, black scraps carrying fire. The boar had failed to kill Robert, but its tusks had opened the belly of the realm. Now every lord could see what lay inside: pride, debt, lust, lies, forgotten oaths, old griefs, sleeping armies, and 3 golden children in a tower waiting to learn whether blood made them guilty. Stannis came because law commanded it, and because resentment rode faster than pride. Dragonstone had shaped him in its own image, hard, black, salt-bitten, joyless to those who did not understand that endurance itself could become a kind of joy when all softer comforts had been denied. The castle rose from the sea like the fossil of some dead dragon, towers clawing at clouds, gargoyles watching waves spend themselves against stone. Stannis had held it through siege, hunger, and insult. Robert had given Storm's End to Renly afterward, as if holding the line while starving were worth less than being beloved and young. He had swallowed that injustice for years, but swallowing did not digest it. Some things remained in the gut forever. When the raven came, he read the message once, then held it to the candle, and watched the edge brown before Davos stopped him with a look. The smuggler had learned when not to speak. That was one of the reasons Stannis valued him. Most highborn men used words to decorate cowardice. Davos used silence to leave truth uncluttered. "Well," Stannis said. Davos looked out toward the harbor, where ships tugged at their ropes beneath a gray dawn. "The king summons you. The king ignored me when I sent proof. He ignored Lord Arryn too, seems like. Arryn is dead. Hey, so may Robert be by the time I arrive. Then you arrive for the next king." Stannis' jaw worked. His teeth had suffered from years of grinding justice into dust. "If the children are falseborn, I am heir." "Hey, no if." Davos did not answer. Stannis turned on him. "You doubt it? I doubt men will like it. Liking has no bearing on law. It has some bearing on swords." The candle hissed. Stannis looked back at the letter. His brother's hand was not on it. Ned's was beneath the royal seal. That mattered. Stark was stubborn and cold, but not false. If he wrote that Robert lived and the queen was confined, then the world had not yet fallen completely into farce. "Ready the ships," Stannis said. "All of them." Davos bowed. "And the lady in red?" Stannis' eyes moved toward the brazier at the far side of the chamber. Melisandre stood before flame, still as prayer. She had come from the east with eyes like banked coals and words that made even strong men feel they had been living under a sky painted on cloth. She spoke of a war beyond kings, of darkness with cold hands, of a prince promised, of false lights and true fires. Stannis listened more than he admitted. A man denied warmth might yet be drawn to flame. "She sails," he said. Davos' mouth tightened, but he bowed again. When Stannis landed in King's Landing, the city did not cheer. It watched. Crowds gathered along the harbor, not out of love but appetite. They wanted to see whether the king's hard brother looked like a savior, a usurper, or an executioner. He gave them little to enjoy. He came in plain dark clothing, sword at his side. Wife absent, daughter left safely behind. Banners snapping with the crowned stag enclosed in a fiery heart that made septons whisper and old men spit. Davos walked behind him without trying to seem other than what he was. Low-born, weathered, useful. Melisandre drew more eyes. In a city of bright corruption, her red seemed not festive but dangerous, a wound moving upright through the crowd. Ned met them at the mud gate with 20 guards and a face that betrayed no surprise at the Fireheart banner. Lord Stannis, Lord Stark. They had never been friends. Friendship required softness. Both men had spent lives distrusting. But there was respect, narrow and iron. The king lives, Stannis asked. Yes. Will he continue? For now. Unsatisfactory answer. Honest one. Stannis almost smiled, which on him looked like pain reconsidered. Take me to him. Robert was awake when they entered, though the effort of wakefulness had cost him. He lay propped by pillows, face flushed, beard damp. The smell of poultice and fever filling the chamber. Renly stood by the window, dressed in deep green sunlight, treating him better than the gods treated most men. When Stannis entered, the younger brother's smile tightened. "Brother," Renly said. Renly. No embrace, no warmth. The word itself seemed rationed. Robert looked from one to the other and groaned. Gods, even dying was easier before you both came in. You are not dying, Stannis said. Is that an order? If necessary. Robert barked half a laugh, then hissed through his teeth. There. That is why no one invites you to feasts. Stannis moved closer. Is it true? Which part? The queen cuckolded me? My heir is my brother? My wife tried to make me too drunk to dodge a pig? My hand knew and tried to play nursemaid to treason? Choose carefully. It has been a rich week. Renly said, the city is unstable. Perhaps accusations should be weighed before. Before what? Stannis snapped. Before truth inconveniences your tailor? Renly's eyes cooled. Before the realm bleeds. The realm bleeds because lies were permitted to breed in the king's bed. Robert slammed one fist against the mattress. Enough. The room obeyed. Robert pointed at Stannis. You are heir until I have a true-born son. Stannis inclined his head as if accepting a debt repaid late. Renly's face did not change, which meant it changed completely beneath the skin. Robert saw it. Do not pout. It makes you look 12. Nay, I am not pouting. You are thinking. A dangerous charge. You are thinking the realm would prefer you. The realm may. Stannis' eyes flashed. Robert laughed again, softer this time. At least he says it near enough for me to hear. You always did like admiration, little brother. Renly bowed slightly. And you always mistook being feared for being loved. The words landed harder because they were true. Robert stared at him. Ned felt the room draw breath. But the king did not explode. Fever had burned some usual path of anger to ash, or perhaps pain had taught him economy. I mistook many things, Robert said. Do not mistake this. If you raise a banner while I live, I will break you. If you raise one after I die against lawful succession, Ned will break you if Stannis cannot. Renly looked to Ned. Would you? Yes, Ned said. No pleasure, no threat. Simply yes. Renly's mouth curved in a courtly smile that did not reach his eyes. Then I shall remain a loyal brother and servant. See that you do, Stannis said. Renly's smile widened. How graciously commanded by a man everyone adore. Robert pinched the bridge of his nose. Out, both of you. Stannis stiffened. We must discuss judgment. We will. The queen confessed. She admitted enough. The children must be declared bastards by royal decree, removed from succession, and placed under guard. Cersei must face trial for adultery, treason, and attempted regicide. Jaime must be attainted and stripped of his cloak. Lancel must testify. Pycelle must be examined. Tywin must answer for harboring traitors and making war upon the king's peace. Now, Renly applauded softly. A charming wedding toast. Stannis ignored him. The law is clear. The law is always clear to men who do not have to look at children while using it, Ned said. Stannis turned. Do not confuse mercy with justice. Do not confuse justice with hunger. Stannis' face darkened. You warned the queen. I did. Then your mercy nearly killed the king. Ned accepted the blow because it was deserved. Yes. Robert looked at him sharply. Something passed between them. Anger, friendship, old trust cracked but not broken. Stannis pressed on. The boy Joffrey is old enough to be dangerous. He is 13, Ned said. He is cruel, proud, and believed himself born to rule, none of which merits death. Many men have died for less. Too many. Robert closed his eyes. God save me from honorable men arguing over my sins. Melisandre, who had stood silent near the back of the chamber, spoke for the first time. The blood of kings is never innocent. Everyone turned. Her voice was low, rich, carrying the cadence of distant temples and heat under stone. Power moves through blood as fire moves through oil. Denied, it smokes. Spilled, it calls. Hidden, it waits. Robert stared at her. Who in seven hells is this? A counselor, Stannis said. A red witch, Renly said. A servant of light, Melisandre said. Robert looked to Ned. Did I ask for fire priests? No. Good. I thought fever had made me madder than usual. Melisandre did not seem offended. Her eyes rested on Robert's bandaged side, then on the shadows behind his bed. The boar was not the darkness, it was the horn before it. I have had enough horns blown at me. There is a war coming greater than the quarrels of lions and stags. Stannis' expression changed by a fraction. He had heard this before. He believed some part of it, or feared believing. Robert said, every mystic says a greater war is coming. It makes small wars seem useful. This one has cold hands. Ned felt an unease he did not understand. The phrase touched something half-remembered from northern tales. Old Nan's voice, Bran listening wide-eyed by firelight. Robert waved weakly. Out. All of you but Ned. Stannis looked ready to object, then bowed because law still wore Robert's face. Renly followed, graceful as a man leaving a dance rather than a battlefield. Melisandre paused at the threshold. Your grace, she said. A king may survive a wound and still die of what entered through it. Robert grunted. If that means infection, tell the maester. When they were gone, he let his head fall back. I hate priests, he said. You hate everyone today. Not you. Ned said nothing. Robert opened one eye. Not entirely. That is something. I should be angrier. You are. At you. Yes. I am. Robert breathed carefully. You should have told me first. Yes. You had no right to warn her. No. And still, if you had not, I might have died never knowing. Ned looked toward the window. Beyond it, the city shimmered in heat, dangerous and alive. Robert said, I would have killed them all yesterday. I know. Today I do not know. That is why you must not decide today. The king's hand moved to his wound. Joffrey looked at me like I was the thief. He has lost the world he understood. So have I. Yes. Robert was quiet for a long time. Then he said, when I took the throne, I thought the hard part was done. Rhaegar dead. Aerys dead. Tywin kneeling. The realm cheering. I thought ruling was what came after winning, like drinking after fighting. Ned remained still. It never ended, Robert said. I just left the field and let others swing. Outside the chamber, brothers plotted. Priests watched fires. Queens waited in towers, and ravens flew. Inside, Robert shut his eyes against fever and memory. "Bring me paper," he said at last. "For what?" "The girl across the sea." Ned turned. Robert's mouth twisted. "Daenerys? I ordered her killed." "Yes. Was it done?" "I do not know." "Find out. If not, stop it." Ned studied him, wary of hope. Robert looked back. "Do not make that face. I have not become good. I am merely tired of murdering children for the comfort of cowards." Ned bowed his head. It was not redemption. Not yet. Perhaps not ever. But it was a road no one had expected Robert to see, much less step upon while bandaged and fevered beneath a roof full of enemies. In the hall beyond, Stannis and Renly walked in opposite directions. One counted rights. One counted smiles. Both counted swords. The Boar had spared their brother, but it had not spared the Baratheons from themselves. Across the narrow sea, the king's mercy arrived too late to prevent his fear from bearing fruit. The Weinzeller smiled with purple gums and trembling hope. He had the look of a man who had been promised more silver than his life had ever taught him to imagine, and had already spent it all in dreams. He bowed too low. He praised too much. He offered the cask as if it were tribute to a goddess rather than a trap laid by men who would never see the body. Daenerys accepted courtesy because she had once owned nothing else. She stood beneath a sky vast enough to swallow castles. The Dothraki sea rolled around the camp, endless grass rippling gold in evening wind. Horses moved like dark water. Cook fires pricked the dusk. Women laughed near painted wagons. Warriors sharpened araks and boasted of cities they had never seen. Her belly had begun to show, and every hand that touched it did so with reverence or ambition. The stallion who mounts the world, they called the child. Prophecy had made a cradle of her body and a battlefield of her future. Jorah saw the Weinzeller's eyes before he saw the cup. That was what saved her. Not honor, not love, not prophecy. Suspicion. The old knight had worn exile long enough to know the smell of purchased courage. He stepped forward, struck the cup from the man's hand, and watched wine vanish into dust where it hissed against a stone. The camp went silent. The Weinzeller ran 3 steps before Rakaro caught him. Daenerys did not understand at first. Then she did, and the world narrowed to the dark stain on the ground. "Poison?" she asked. Jorah looked as if the word had struck him harder than any blade. "Khaleesi." Drogo came like thunder given human shape. His braids swung against his back, bells chiming softly in a silence that had become fear. He seized the Weinzeller by the throat and lifted him until his feet kicked air. Words broke from the man in 3 languages. Coin. Pardon. Gotta. Westeros. Usurper. Spider. Night. Die. The fragments spilled faster when breath grew scarce. Daenerys heard enough. The usurper king had tried to kill her. She thought she should feel terror first. Instead came clarity, cold and clean. She was 13 when she had been sold. She had crossed the world in fear of her brother's hands, her husband's eyes, strange tongues, strange gods, and the weight of a name that had given her nothing but hunger and pursuit. She had begun as a pawn, then queen of a horse lord, then mother of a prophecy. Now a king she had never seen had reached across the sea to close his fist around her throat. Something in her opened. "Do not kill him yet," she said. Drogo looked at her. The old Daenerys might have lowered her gaze. This one did not. I would hear every word. The Weinzeller lived long enough to speak too many of them. Back in King's Landing, Varys received the first raven at dusk and the second before midnight. The first was from one of his little birds in Pentos, delayed by weather and human greed. The attempt had gone forward. The merchant had been eager. The night was watched. The girl was with child. The Khalasar was moving east. The second was from a shipmaster in Braavos, who had carried letters that should have traveled faster than regret. Robert's pardon, sealed by a shaking hand, had reached the coast after the poison had already been poured. Varys held both messages in his soft hands and contemplated timing, that most merciless of gods. He could bury one, he could alter another. He could present them in an order that made wisdom look like innocence and failure look like fate. He had done worse with less justification. Yet the realm trembled under a new truth, and even spiders could be crushed when ceilings fell. So he went to Ned. The hand had not slept. Papers covered his table. Guard rotations, prisoner lists, letters to river lords, lists of Lannister men in the city, account tallies from Baelish that smelled of perfume and rot, and reports from the harbor. Ice was far away in Winterfell, and Ned missed the simplicity of a sword that meant exactly what it was. When Varys entered, Ned did not look up. If this can wait, let it. It cannot, my lord. Ned set down the quill. Varys gave him the messages. Ned read the first, and his face darkened. He read the second, and his face changed in a way Varys found more dangerous. Anger was useful. Grief could become incorruptible. When? Ned asked. The attempt. Yes. Likely before the pardon left the Blackwater. Likely? The sea has a poor respect for certainty. Ned stood too quickly and paid for it with pain. Does Robert know? Not yet. Come. The king was awake, though half lost to fever. Stannis stood near the hearth, speaking with Davos in low tones. Renly lounged by a window with studied ease, but his eyes followed every paper. Barristan sat in a chair near the bed. Armor removed, white tunic plain, exhaustion making him look every year he had survived. Ned handed Robert the messages. The king took too long to read them. When he finished, he let the parchment fall onto the blanket. Did she die? No report says so, Varys answered. The night prevented it, if the first message is true. Robert's eyes moved to Ned. The night. Jorah. Mormont's boy. Robert gave a bitter laugh. I exiled him, and he saves the girl I tried to kill. Stannis picked up the first parchment. His mouth tightened. You rescinded the order? I did. After giving it. Yes. Then the blood, if spilled, remains yours. Robert looked at him. I had not noticed your gift for comfort. The law is not comfort. The law can wait outside with the other vultures. Stannis folded the parchment. This has consequences. If the attempt failed, the Horse Lord may use it to unite his Khalasar for invasion. Renly said, Savages on horses cannot cross water unless someone teaches horses to row. Davos glanced at him. Ships can be bought. By Dothraki. By men who hate us. That quieted the room. Robert rubbed his face with one hand. I dreamed of killing Targaryens for half my life. Ned said, You feared what they would become. I feared ghosts. I feared Rhaegar winning after I killed him. Robert's voice grew rough. I feared every silver-haired child was a prince at the Trident with rubies in the water. Gods, I was brave when the enemy had armor. Give me a pregnant girl across the sea, and I became heiress with better wine. No one spoke. It was a terrible thing, watching a man see himself clearly. Most turned away. Robert could not. Pain pinned him to the bed, and truth pinned him more thoroughly. Send another letter, he said. To whom? Ned asked. To her? To the Horse Lord? To every magister and cheese seller in Pentos if need be. Tell them the order was rescinded. Tell them the merchant acted under old command. Tell them... He stopped, jaw clenched. Tell them I offer blood price. Stannis stared. You would pay a foreign savage for taking offense at treason. I would pay to keep his horde from crossing the sea because of my stupidity. A king does not purchase forgiveness from enemies. A dead king purchases nothing. A living one chooses which pride to spend. Money. Renly tilted his head. Who are you? And where has my brother gone? Robert managed a weak glare. Still here, sadly for all. Ned said, words may not be enough. No, Robert said. They never are. Across the sea, Drogo did not want words. He stood before his khalasar while night wrapped the grass and the stars came out hard and countless. The wine zealot had confessed enough for every rider to understand insult. Poison was not the Dothraki way. Killing at a distance was cowardice unless done with a bow from horseback, which they considered less distance than conversation. To strike at a pregnant Khaleesi with a cup was filth beyond fear. Drogo spoke of wooden horses that crossed salt water. He spoke of iron chairs and stone tents and men in metal skins. He promised the unborn child the world his mother's enemies had tried to steal. The khalasar roared. Daenerys listened with firelight on her face and did not know whether she had been saved or delivered into a greater danger. Jorah stood behind her, silent, carrying the unbearable knowledge that he had once reported on her to the very men who sent poison. His betrayal had become her shield by accident. That was the sort of jest gods made when bored. Later, in her tent, she summoned him. "Did you know?" The question had weight enough to bend him. "No," he said, "but you watched me for them." The truth stood between them like a third person. "Yes." She turned away. Her hands rested on her belly. "For pardon? At first, I was a coward. You saved me." "Yes, both can be true." Often, Daenerys looked back at him. The girl who had crossed the sea afraid of waking the dragon was gone. Not entirely. Nothing vanishes so neatly. But she had changed, and the change frightened him because it made her more like her name. If he had sent the pardon in time, she said, would that make him merciful? Jorah had no answer fit for a queen. In King's Landing, Ned found Robert later staring at the ceiling. "She will come," the king said. "Perhaps. With horses and savages and songs about my cowardice. Perhaps. Do you think I deserve it?" Ned took the chair beside him. "Deserving has little to do with what comes." Robert laughed softly. "There is the North, cold comfort from cold men. You asked me once why I never sang with you after the Trident. No, I did not. You were too drunk to remember asking. Likely. I did not sing because I knew war had not ended. Only the battle had." Robert turned his head. "And now? Now you know it too." The king closed his eyes. The poison had failed. The pardon had failed. The sea still lay between worlds. And yet a line had been drawn from Robert's bed to a girl beneath strange stars. He had tried to kill the past and instead had given it a reason to ride. In the morning, he commanded the royal fleet to be counted. The ports watched, the walls supplied, the riverlands defended, the queen tried, the children guarded. Tywin answered. Stannis restrained. Renly watched. Baelish oozed and Ned kept close. It was more ruling than he had done in years. It exhausted him before noon. But when the fever rose again, he did not call for wine. The children paid first, as children always do. Not in blood. Robert had forbidden it with a fury so exact that even the cruel obeyed it. No one struck them. No one starved them. No one dragged them through the streets to be named monster, bastard, treason's get. They were lodged in Maegor's holdfast with guards at every bridge and stair, given clean linen, warm meals, books, septas, and more courtesy than comfort could bear. Still, they paid. Joffrey paid in rage. Tommen paid in confusion. Myrcella paid by understanding just enough. Sansa paid in dreams. She stood often at her window and looked toward the holdfast as though stone might soften if watched with sufficient sorrow. She had loved Joffrey, or loved the idea given his face and name, which for a girl raised on songs can feel like the same thing until the song ends. He had been handsome. He had been prince. He had called her beautiful. He had made her ashamed and thrilled and frightened in ways she mistook for romance, because no septa ever taught girls that fear could wear perfume. Now he was confined, and everyone whispered that he was not a prince at all. Sansa did not know how to mourn that. If he was false, what had her heart obeyed? If he was cruel, why did pity still come? If her father had saved them, why did it feel as if he had broken the world? She hated Joffrey for lying. though he had likely been lied to. She hated Cersei for birthing the lie. She hated Robert for speaking it in public. She hated Ned for telling him. Most of all, she hated herself for still wondering whether Joffrey had asked after her. Arya had no such confusion. "He's a little monster," she said. They were in Sansa's chamber, though Arya had entered without knocking by a route no proper lady would have used. Her hair was half escaped from its braid, her sleeves rolled, needle at her belt, despite 3 separate orders that she keep it hidden. She smelled of sweat and dust from practice. "You don't know anything," Sansa snapped. "I know he tried to cut my car. That was different." "No, it wasn't. You just wore a nicer dress then." Sansa turned, cheeks bright. "You're hateful. And you're stupid." "I am not. You want him to be good because you liked how being near him made you feel." Sansa's mouth opened, then closed. The words had struck too near. Arya looked uncomfortable. She preferred wounding with blades to sentences. "Syrio says seeing true is hard because eyes like pretty lies. Syrio is a dancing master. He sees better than you." Sansa slapped her. Arya stared, more surprised than hurt. Then she lunged. By the time Ned arrived, summoned by a terrified maid, both daughters were on the floor, hair pulled, sleeves torn, crying and furious. He separated them with less grace than desperation. Arya kicked his bad leg by accident. Pain exploded white behind his eyes. "Enough!" They froze, not because he shouted often, but because he so rarely did. Sansa sobbed into her hands. Arya wiped her nose with the back of one wrist and looked away, ashamed and defiant at once. Ned sat heavily on a chair, leg burning. For a moment he wanted Catelyn with a helplessness that hollowed him. Catelyn would know which daughter to hold first, which word to say, which silence to leave. He knew how to command men to guard a gate. He did not know how to rebuild a girl's broken song. "Come here," he said. Neither moved. "Both of you." They came grudgingly, which was still coming. He took Sansa's hand in one of his, and Arya's in the other. They stood stiff as prisoners. "You are angry," he said. Arya snorted. Sansa stared at the floor. "You are frightened. You are ashamed of things that are not your fault. You do not know who to blame, so you blame each other." "No, why?" Arya muttered. "She hit me first. You called me stupid. You were being stupid." "Arya, thought." She looked down. Ned squeezed both hands. "The world has become uglier than I wanted you to see." Sansa's voice trembled. "Will Joffrey die?" "I do not know. You said you would try." "I am trying." "Try harder." The words could have angered him. Instead, they humbled him. Children believed fathers could command mercy from wolves, queens, kings, and gods. Perhaps fathers encouraged the belief because they could not bear admitting how small they were. "I will," he said. Arya looked up. "What about the queen? She will face judgment." "Did she really try to kill the king?" "Yes." "Then she should die." "Arya," Sansa whispered, horrified. "She should." Ned looked at his younger daughter and saw the North in her, bright and dangerous. "Justice is not hunger." Arya frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means wanting someone punished is not the same as knowing what punishment is right. If someone tries to kill you, you kill them first. That is battle. A court is not battle. It is here." He had no answer. Below them in the yard, Syrio continued to teach in a city that had misplaced all balance. Arya found him after the quarrel, eyes still swollen, temper sharpened by shame. "Today," Syrio said, "you are slow." "No, I'm not." Then the air has grown thick only around you." She attacked. He stepped aside, tapped her wrist, her shoulder, her knee. The wooden sword kissed each place a real blade might drink. "Again," he said. She came harder. He punished harder. At last she threw the practice blade down. "I hate everyone." Syrio nodded. "Good. Then you will be too busy to learn. I don't want to learn stupid dancing. No. You want to stab grief until it apologizes. Arya glared. He picked up her wooden sword and offered it back hilt first. The first lesson is seeing. Today you see only red. Red is a fine color for banners and blood oranges. Poor color for eyes. Nah. My father says justice is not hunger. Your father is a wise man. He also says run instead of fight. Your father is a very wise man. Arya took the sword. You wouldn't run. I run beautifully. That surprised a laugh out of her, small and unwilling. Syrio smiled. Again. In Maegor's holdfast, Joffrey was not laughing. He had broken 2 cups, cursed 3 guards, threatened to have one flayed when he was king, and struck Tommen for crying. Myrcella had stepped between them with more courage than strength. Stop, she said. Joffrey rounded on her. Do not command me. You frightened him. He should be frightened. They mean to kill us. No one said that. They will. Stark will. The fat drunk will. Stannis will. They all hate us. Tommen sobbed harder. I want mother. Joffrey seized the carved stag Tommen had brought from their rooms and hurled it against the wall. One antler snapped. Tommen stared at the broken toy as though it were a prophecy. Myrcella slapped Joffrey. The sound was softer than Cersei's slap had been, but it had more courage in it. Joffrey touched his cheek, stunned. For an instant he seemed likely to strike her. Then the door opened. The hound stood there, burned face half in shadow. He had heard enough, perhaps all of it. Hit her, and I'll hold your hand in the fire long enough for you to learn the difference between pain and royal displeasure. Joffrey stepped back. You cannot speak to me that way. Sandor entered and shut the door behind him. Seems I can. I am your prince. No. That's the trouble, isn't it? The boy's face twisted. Myrcella knelt beside Tommen and gathered the broken stag pieces. Her hands shook, but she did not cry. That impressed Sandor more than all the boys shouting. You're meant to guard us, Joffrey said. I am guarding you, mostly from yourself. My mother will have your tongue. Your mother has troubles enough. Joffrey turned away, humiliated. Sandor looked at the younger two. You want the toy mended? Tommen sniffed. Sandor took the pieces, examined them with the grave attention of a man judging armor. A bit of glue, maybe a pin through the antler. He'll show. I don't mind, Tommen whispered. No, stags look better with scars. Myrcella studied him. Will they kill us? Sandor did not lie quickly. That made the children listen. Not if Stark has breath. Not if the king remembers his own order. Not if your grandfather chooses sense over pride. So yes, maybe. Tommen whimpered. Myrcella lifted her chin in an imitation of Cersei that broke Sandor's heart a little, though he would rather have eaten glass than admit it. Then, what should we do? Eat. Sleep. Speak less than you want. Don't trust men who smile when you cry. That is not much. It's more than most get. That night Cersei begged to see them. Robert refused twice. Ned counseled allowing it. Stannis opposed. Renly found the matter distasteful and politically inconvenient, which meant he would support whichever answer later proved popular. Varys said children separated from mothers became symbols faster than prisoners, and symbols had a habit of escaping through walls. Baelish said nothing until others had spoken, then observed that mercy displayed under guard often looked very much like strength. Robert glared at them all. I asked whether she should see her children, not whether the realm can be balanced on a wet fart. In the end, he allowed it. Cersei was escorted across the Holdfast Bridge at dusk between 2 white cloaks. She had not been stripped of dignity. That was Ned's doing. She knew it and hated him for it. Her gown was plain dark green. Her hair was braided simply. Without the armor of court splendor, her beauty became more human and therefore more dangerous. The children ran to her, even Joffrey. Cersei held them all with a sound in her throat no court had ever heard from her. For a moment she was only a mother, and Ned, watching from the doorway because someone had to witness and answer for mercy, felt the old certainty of judgment waver. Then Cersei opened her eyes over Tommen's head and looked at him. Hatred lived there, pure enough to outlast kingdoms. "You are satisfied?" she asked. "No. They are children." "Yes. You told me to flee." "Yes. I should have." "Yes." Her mouth trembled, then hardened. "I will never forgive you for this." "I know." "And Robert?" Ned did not answer. Cersei lowered her voice. "He will kill my Jaime if he can. Jaime wounded my men and fled justice. He is my brother. He is also father to your children. Do you think naming sin makes you clean?" "No." That answer unsettled her more than accusation. She turned back to the children. Joffrey whispered urgently in her ear. Cersei listened, face unreadable. Then she gripped his shoulders. "You will stop," she said. He recoiled. "Mother, you will stop shouting, threatening, breaking things, and proving every enemy right. Do you understand me?" "Ma. Balye. Duo. They stole my throne. It was never yours." The room seemed to stop around the words. Joffrey stared. Cersei's face twisted with pain, but she did not take them back. "It was never yours, but your life is. Keep it." He backed away from her then, more wounded than when Robert had rejected him. Cersei reached, but he would not be touched. That, too, was payment. Ned left before he saw more. Mercy was not soft. It was a chamber full of children learning that love could be true and still built on a lie. Outside, Sansa waited in the corridor. "Did he ask about me?" she said. Ned closed his eyes for a moment. "No." She nodded as if she had expected that, and because she had expected it, the wound went deeper. Arya appeared at the far end of the corridor, wooden sword in hand, watching her sister not with mockery now, but with wary sympathy. Sansa saw her and did not look away. Neither apologized. But when they walked back to their chambers, they walked near enough that their sleeves touched once, briefly, like banners in the same wind. Robert should not have ridden to war. Every maester said so. Barristan said so with courtesy. Ned said so with anger. Stannis said so as if correcting a faulty son. Renly said so with enough charm to make agreement feel insulting. Pycelle said so while trembling, which helped no argument. Even the stablemaster, a man of uncommon bravery or insufficient imagination, muttered that the king's horse would not thank them for placing half-healed royalty upon its back. Robert listened to all of them and ordered his armor widened around the bandages. "I am not leading from a bed," he said. "You may die on the road," Ned answered. "I may die in bed. You are more likely to die on the road. Then I will keep the road entertained." His armor did not fit properly. Too many feasts, too many years, too much swelling around the wound. The breastplate had to be strapped awkwardly. He could not swing a hammer with old strength. He could not sit long without pain. By every measure of sense, he belonged in the Red Keep, issuing commands through healthier men. But kings are not only men. They are sights. The Riverlords needed to see Robert alive. Tywin needed to see the crown had not become a parchment argument between brothers. The North needed to see Ned was not hostage to southern whispers. The Gold Cloaks needed to see the king pass through the city gates with banners overhead and the hand beside him. Even the small folk, who cared less for legitimacy than bread, needed something to shout at that was not rumor. So Robert rode. Not far each day. Not well, but he rode. The royal host moved north and west beneath stag banners, and the wary eyes of a realm waiting to discover whether obedience was still fashionable. Stannis brought ships and hard men from Dragonstone. Renly brought storm lords, bright tents, and letters from the Reach promising friendship in language so perfumed it made Stannis grind his teeth. Ned brought northern guards and the authority of a man no one suspected of enjoying any of this. Barristan brought the white cloak and the silence of duty. Varys brought messages. Baelish remained in the city under the excuse of treasury work and the reality of being watched by 3 different factions, all of whom underestimated his pleasure and danger. At the crossroads, Tyrion was delivered to the royal camp in chains that were more symbolic than secure. He arrived on a pony, which he considered the most tasteless insult of the journey, with Bronn riding nearby and looking as if every army in Westeros were merely a market in need of a sharper buyer. Catelyn had released him after the trial in the Vale, only for royal riders to intercept him with courteous steel, and the news that the world had rearranged itself while he was busy surviving his sister's enemies. Tyrion bowed as best he could before the king. "Your Grace, I had hoped our next meeting would involve wine rather than shackles, though I admit one often leads to the other." "Nay." Robert laughed before remembering to be angry. The laugh became a cough. The cough became pain. When it passed, he glared. "You find this amusing? I find very little else available. You were seized by Lady Stark. Unlawfully, I would have said, until my family attempted to murder you, adulterate the succession, and embroider treason across half the continent. It has complicated my argument." Ned watched him carefully. Tyrion's tongue danced, but his eyes missed little. A dangerous man, not because he was false, but because he was often true at inconvenient angles. Robert said, "Did you know?" "No." "You expect me to believe that?" "I expect you to believe my father trusts me with almost nothing, my sister trusts me with less, and my brother would sooner juggle wildfire than discuss betting arrangements with me." Renly smiled. Stannis did not. Robert leaned forward in the saddle. Sweat shone at his temples. "They are your blood." "Yes. Speak carefully. I have done so all my life, with mixed success." Tyrion glanced toward Ned. "If I had known, Your Grace, I would have advised against the plan. Because it was treason. Because it was stupid." Robert stared, then roared with laughter so suddenly his horse sidestepped. Barristan reached instinctively. Ned cursed. Stannis looked personally offended by humor's existence. Tyrion waited. When the king recovered, he said, "Explain." "My sister mistook proximity for secrecy. My brother mistook beauty for invulnerability. My father mistook silence for control. The boy mistook cruelty for kingship. And you, forgive me, mistook not asking questions for not having answers." The camp went still. Ned thought Robert might strike him. Instead, the king said, "You are brave for a chained man. Small men cannot afford to waste fear on likely things. What do you want? To live. After that, to prevent my family from doing anything else heroic." Renly laughed. Even Stannis' mouth twitched, though perhaps only from indigestion. Ned said, "Can you bring Lord Tywin to terms?" Tyrion turned to him. "Can you bring a wolf to apologize to a lamb for efficient dining?" "No." "Then no. But I may help you understand which terms he will refuse loudly, and which he may accept while arranging revenge." "May I?" Robert nodded toward the guards. "Unchain him," Stannis snapped. "He's a hostage. He is also more useful when his hands are free. He will flee." Tyrion lifted his manacled wrists. "On my magnificent pony?" Robert pointed. The chains came off. Bronn's smile deepened. "Shame. They suited you." "Yes," Tyrion said. "I have always been fond of jewelry that announces trust issues." The march continued. Robb joined them near the Twins, where Walder Frey attempted to sell a bridge to a king who already owned the realm and discovered Robert's patience for petty extortion had been wounded alongside his belly. The old lord came out wrapped in furs and complaint, expecting to squeeze marriages and honors from northern need. Instead, he found the king seated on horseback under a storm banner, sweating with fever and smiling like a man who had found someone safe to hate. "You are late, Lord Frey," Robert said. Walder blinked. "Late? To your king's summons." Your liege lord's lands burn, your neighbors ride, lions shit in the Riverlands, and you sit behind your bridge counting daughters. Open the crossing. No. The old man's mouth puckered. There are courtesies. I am all out. My house has rights. Your house has a bridge. Do not confuse architecture with courage. Ned closed his eyes briefly. Robb looked as though he were trying not to grin. Catelyn, who had ridden down from the north with her son, maintained perfect courtesy by force of breeding and terror. Walder tested one more path. And what does House Frey receive for loyal service? Robert leaned forward. The chance to remain House Frey. The bridge opened. For a week after, campfires repeated the line with embellishments until Walder had been threatened with hanging, drowning, gelding, and marriage to his own cook. The truth was sharper for having been simpler. The royal host crossed into the Riverlands not as rebels, not as rescuers only, but as judgment with wheels. The land bore Tywin's answer before his banners did. Villages stood blackened. Fields lay trampled. Septi statues were smashed. Men hid in ditches. Women watched from doorways with eyes that had learned not to ask armed strangers what justice meant today. Robert saw it. That mattered. Had reports come to him in the Red Keep, he might have cursed, demanded wine, promised vengeance, and forgotten before supper. Seeing was different. Smelling ash and rain was different. Passing a child who did not cry because crying had been spent was different. The wound in his side hurt most on bad roads, and the Riverlands were all bad roads now. Pain married witness and made forgetting harder. At a ruined village near the Red Fork, he dismounted against everyone's advice and walked among the remains. A septon showed him bones in a cellar. An old woman spat at the stag on his cloak and said, "King's peace." No guard struck her. Robert would not allow it. "Your grace," Renly murmured, embarrassed by grief when it lacked ceremony. Robert looked at the woman. I broke it," Stannis said. "The Lannisters broke it. I wore the crown." The old woman stared, uncertain what to do with confession. Robert removed a ring from his hand, one of several he had acquired and ignored, and placed it in her palm. "For rebuilding." She looked at the gold, then at him. "Gold don't raise dead sons." "No," he said. "It does not." He walked back to his horse slower than before. That night, he summoned Tyrion. "Your father did this." "Yes. You do not deny it?" "My father considers denial useful only when someone important is listening." "I am important. You are also not a fool today." Robert grunted. "Careful. Always too late." "What will he do?" Tyrion studied the map. Red markers for lions, black for stags, gray for wolves, blue for trout. He will avoid battle unless he can win cleanly. He will seek to divide you from Stark, Stannis from Renly, Riverlords from Northmen. He will write to every lord saying he defends his grandchildren from slander and his house from unlawful seizure. They are not his grandchildren. That will not improve his mood. Robert looked at the map. "Can I beat him? With this host? Yes. With your wound, perhaps. With your brothers? Unclear," Stannis said from the doorway. "I heard that." "I assumed so," Tyrion said. Renly entered behind him. "As did I. We are becoming predictable." Ned arrived last, because he had been speaking with Riverlords and trying to turn outrage into order. Around the table they stood. King, hand, brothers, hostage, smuggler, knight, and sellsword near the flap, pretending not to listen. Outside, rain tapped on canvas and thousands of men waited for high-born decisions to decide whether low-born bodies would feed crows. Robert placed a finger on the map near Harrenhal. "Tywin expects me to rush." "Yes," Ned said. "He expects Stannis to demand siege, Renly to demand show, you to demand honor, Tyrion to demand a chair, and me to demand a hammer." "I do enjoy chairs," Tyrion said. Robert ignored him. "So we do none of it." Stannis frowned. "Explain." "We cut his roads, hold the crossings, Send Robb north of his flank, not at it. Riverlords harry supply lines, but do not chase Gregor into traps. Renly writes his pretty friends in the Reach, and tells them the crown remembers who comes late. Stannis brings ships up the Blackwater and closes trade to Lannisport if my lord father-in-law refuses command. Nani? Auntie? He is not your father-in-law, Stannis said. No, Robert said. But insult is cheaper than accuracy. Ned looked at him with surprise. Robert saw it and smiled grimly. What? I listened to councils sometimes, mostly when wine was late. Tyrion tapped the map. My father will not expect patience from you. Then we give him patience until he chokes on it. It was not a perfect plan. No plan survived men, mud, weather, or pride intact. But it was a king's plan, which astonished those present enough that they obeyed it. For 12 days, Tywin did not get the battle he wanted. His outriders found bridges held. His foragers found empty barns or ambushes. His ravens were intercepted often enough to make replies uncertain. River lords who would have charged alone now moved under royal instruction. Northern riders under Robb appeared where they should not have been, struck baggage, vanished into rain. Edmure wanted glory and was given boundaries. The Greyjohn wanted battle and was given raiding. Stannis wanted order and was given river crossings. Renly wanted admiration and was given envoys to charm. Everyone received slightly less than desired, which Ned considered a sign of functioning command. Robert grew weaker, then steadier. He could not fight. That tormented him. On the 5th day, he tried to swing a practice hammer and nearly reopened the wound. Barristan took the hammer away. Robert called him an old woman. Barristan agreed and kept the hammer. Instead, Robert watched maps. That was new. He had always preferred the simplicity of seeing enemies, but now he sat through reports, asked for numbers twice, cursed less often than expected, and began to understand the insult of governance. That ruling was mostly listening to things no song would ever mention. On the 13th day, Tywin moved. He feinted toward River Run and struck instead toward a ford where he believed Stannis thin. He found the ford reinforced by Northmen who had marched through rain all night under Robb's command. The battle that followed was not grand enough for singers, but too large for widows to dismiss. Men died in mud dot. Horses screamed. Banners fell and rose again. Robb held. Stannis arrived late but solid, his line locking where another might have bent. Renly's knights, for once more than ornament, struck the Lannister flank under a lord eager to prove roses had thorns. By dusk, Tywin withdrew in order, which meant he had not been defeated utterly, but had failed publicly. Robert watched from a ridge, white with pain and fury at not being below. When news came that Robb had held, Ned closed his eyes. Catelyn, standing near the king's litter, did not. She watched the field until her son rode back spattered with mud, and another man's blood, alive and older. Robert looked at him. Well done, boy. Robb dismounted and bowed. Your grace. Do not preen. It makes men want to test you. Robb almost smiled. Yes, your grace. The king's gaze moved to Catelyn. He did you proud. He did his duty, she said, because pride was too fragile to show before so many eyes. Robert laughed softly. Gods. Starks breed stone and call it children. That night Tywin sent envoys. Not surrender. Not apology. Never that. He proposed a pause. Robert listened to the terms, then looked at Tyrion. What does he mean? He means he has discovered that your wound did not make you stupid enough. And he wishes time to make others stupid in your place. Robert grinned. Then we deny him. Not entirely, Ned said. All eyes turned. Ned's face was grave. A pause can spare the Riverlands if used well. Demand hostages. Demand withdrawal from burned lands. Demand Jaime present himself for judgment. Demand reparations now, not promised later. If Tywin refuses, he reveals himself before the realm. If he accepts, we save lives. Nani, Stannis nodded reluctantly. And the queen? Trial, Ned said. Tyrion looked at the map, then at Robert. My father will not hand over Jaime. No, Robert said. But he may come himself to avoid appearing afraid. He is not afraid. Robert's smile became something old and warlike. Everyone is afraid of something. Tyrion did not answer. He thought of his father's face, carved from pride. Yes, Tywin feared something. Not death. Not defeat alone. Tywin feared laughter. He feared the realm seeing House Lannister as foolish, sordid, common in its sins. He feared the golden mask slipping. Robert had begun to understand masks. The envoys rode back through rain. The armies waited. In King's Landing, Cersei prayed to gods she did not respect. In the east, Drogo spoke of ships. At the wall, ravens came and went with strange tales from beyond the trees. Across the Seven Kingdoms, lords measured the wind. The war that might have had 5 kings had, for the moment, 1 wounded king stubborn enough to remain inconveniently alive. Tywin came to court as if he were granting the king an audience. That was his gift and his sickness. Even summoned, even checked in the field, even with his daughter confined and his grandchildren stripped of certainty, he entered the throne room dressed in gold and crimson, upright, composed, every step measured to imply that the floor had been fortunate to receive him. Lords watched with hatred, admiration, envy, fear. Small men hated arrogance until it was successful long enough to resemble law. Robert had returned to King's Landing thinner. Not thin. No singer would ever call him gaunt unless paid by an enemy. But the wound and march had carved something from him. His face had harder lines. His eyes were less clouded. He still drank, but not before noon and not without noticing who poured. That alone unsettled the court more than temperance should. He did not sit the Iron Throne for the judgment. The wound made climbing painful, but there was choice in it too. He sat below, in a heavy chair brought from the council chamber, with the throne rising behind him like a black memory. Ned stood to his right with the decrees. Stannis stood to his left with the law. Renly stood slightly behind, where he could be seen without being responsible. Barristan and 2 other white cloaks guarded the steps. The hounds stood near the side doors, expression unreadable. Varys, Pycelle, Baelish, and the rest of the council occupied places arranged less by office than by suspicion. Cersei was brought in without chains. Ned had argued for that. Stannis had opposed it. Robert had decided in favor of dignity, not because he forgave her, but because he would not have the mother of the children dragged like a thief before every hungry eye in court. She wore white, not queen's cloth of gold, not lion crimson. White, severe and luminous, hair braided beneath a veil. She looked like a woman already turned into a statue of innocence by some future liar. When she passed Tywin, neither reached for the other, but something moved between them. A father's calculation and a daughter's fury braided too tightly to separate. Jaime was brought next. The hall stirred at the sight of him. The Kinglayer, golden and bright even in disgrace, came under guard but unbowed. He had been intercepted near the Golden Tooth after riding to gather men, then yielded under parley when Tywin commanded it. Or so the official account went. Tyrion privately believed Jaime had yielded because he heard Cersei was alive and chained by distance more surely than iron. He and Cersei looked at one another. No court could miss what passed there. Robert certainly did not. His hand closed on the chair arm. Ned saw it and placed one quiet hand on the parchment, not touching the king, merely reminding him of paper, order, sequence. Robert breathed once, twice, and did not rise. That was victory of a kind. The charges were read. Adultery, incest, treason against the royal succession, conspiracy to endanger the king's life by impairing him during the hunt, concealment of true parentage, waging unlawful war in the Riverlands under color of private grievance, assault upon the handsmen, flight from royal justice. The words took time. Shame like ceremony when it wants to become history. Cersei denied conspiracy to murder. She admitted the children were Jaime's. She did not weep. She did not beg. She said she had protected those she loved in a marriage that had never been more than a battlefield with bedding. Jaime admitted the children with a defiance that made half the court gasp and the other half lean closer. He admitted striking Ned's men. He denied intent against Robert at the hunt, though when Lancel was brought trembling to speak, Jaime looked as if he wanted to kill the boy, the court, and himself, in no particular order. Tywin denied everything he could deny, reframed everything he could not, and treated truth as a servant who had failed to dress properly. "My daughter's sins, if sins they are," he said, voice carrying. "Do not make bastards of children acknowledged by a king for 13 years. Stannis stepped forward. "Acknowledgement made in ignorance is void." Tywin's eyes flicked to him. "Convenient. Lawful. The realm is not a ledger, Lord Stannis." "No, ledgers are better kept." A faint ripple moved through the hall. Renly hid a smile. Robert did not bother. Tywin continued, "Nor does private misconduct justify the unlawful seizure of my son by Lady Stark, the assault upon my house's honor, or the stripping of inheritance from children whose only crime was birth." Ned said, "Your men burned villages. My men pursued justice. Your men butchered peasants." Gregor was not present. Robert had demanded him. Tywin claimed he had been sent west under orders before the summons arrived. No one believed him. Belief was not proof, as Tywin well knew. The old lion turned to Robert. "You were wronged. I do not dispute it. But kingdoms do not survive if wronged kings answer shame with madness." "No." Robert laughed once. "You think that will work? I think truth often fails where pride is wounded. You think I want them dead. I think men will flatter you toward it." Robert leaned forward, pain making him pale. "I did want them dead." The hall went utterly still. Cersei looked at him then. Jaime did too. Robert's voice roughened. "When Ned told me I wanted your daughter dead, your son dead, the boy dead, every golden head in the keep on spikes, I wanted to ride west and make the rock crack just to hear what sound came out of you." "Nah." Tywin did not move. "And then I looked at the boy," Robert said, "and the little ones, and I had to ask which part of me was king and which part was merely humiliated. No one had expected confession. The throne room did not know what to do with it. I've been a poor king," Robert said. Ned stared at him. So did Renly. Stannis looked as if he had discovered a lawful document written in invisible ink. Robert continued, "A drunk. Oh, a coward in ways that never showed on battlefields. I let debts grow, let flatterers feed, let my counsel rule around me, let my wife hate me in my own bed, let my children become strangers, and called it peace because swords stayed sheathed where I could see them. Men, Dunmiao." His gaze swept the hall. "That ends." The words did not roar. They did not need to. "Ned," Robert said. Ned unfolded the first decree. "By royal judgment, Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen are declared born of the Queen and Jaime, and removed from the line of succession. They are not to be harmed, disinherited beyond royal claim, or used in marriage without crown consent until they reach majority. They remain under royal protection." "No." Stannis' jaw tightened at the mercy. He said nothing. Ned read the second. "Stannis is named lawful heir to the Iron Throne until such time as the king has true-born issue. All lords are commanded to acknowledge this succession." Renly bowed before anyone could look at him too long. It was beautifully done, and convinced no one who knew ambition by scent. The third decree concerned Cersei. She was stripped of the title queen in practice, though not paraded as whore or traitor. Her marriage to Robert would be set aside by the faith under grounds of fraud and unlawful union. For endangering the king and corrupting the succession, she was sentenced to confinement under the faith, with the choice of taking vows among the Silent Sisters or remaining a royal prisoner at a secure seat chosen by the crown. She would see her children under supervision. Cersei's face did not change until the Silent Sisters were named. Then a tremor passed through her. Silence was a punishment made precisely for her. Jaime spoke. "No." Robert looked at him. Jaime stepped forward despite the guards. "Punish me. Send me to the wall. Take my hand. Kill me if you must. Not her." Cersei closed her eyes. Robert studied him with a disgust complicated by recognition. Jaime loved ruinously, selfishly, absolutely. Robert understood ruinous love better than he wished. "You will speak when judged," Stannis snapped. Jaime smiled without humor. "Yes, your radiance." Stannis' face went colder. Ned read Jaime's decree. Stripped from the Kingsguard. Attainted for assault upon the handsmen and flight from justice. Given choice of the wall or lifelong confinement, pending further investigation into the attempt on Bran's life. At Bran's name, Cersei's eyes opened. Ned saw. So did Tyrion. So did Robert, perhaps, though he did not yet know the shape of that older sin. Jaime said nothing. That silence told more than denial. Tywin finally spoke, and for the first time his voice carried iron uncovered. "You go too far." Robert turned to him. "Do I? You shame one of the great houses of the realm beyond repair. Your house did that from bed." A murmur, quickly strangled. Tywin's face tightened. "Careful." The hall seemed to lean. Robert smiled, and for one dangerous heartbeat he was the man of the trident again. "There he is," Ned said quietly. "Your Grace?" Robert ignored him just long enough to make every guard remember why hands had fingers near hilts. Then he settled back. "Lord Tywin," Ned read, "is fined for unlawful devastation in the Riverlands, with gold to rebuild burned villages under royal supervision. Hostages from houses sworn directly to Casterly Rock will remain at court until payment and withdrawal are complete. The crown demands Sir Gregor be surrendered for trial. Refusal will be considered defiance of royal command." Day. Tywin's eyes were pale chips of winter sun. "And if I refuse?" Stannis said. "Then law proceeds to war." Renly said. "A war you have recently failed to win." Tyrion closed his eyes briefly, as if pained by everyone's dedication to making matters worse. Robert stood. It took visible effort. Barristan moved, but the king waved him off. He rose from the chair below the Iron Throne, one hand pressed to his side, face ashen, and faced Tywin not from above but level. "If you refuse," Robert said, "I call the realm, not for my pride, not for my marriage bed, for the king's peace you broke, the villages you burned, the crown you tried to steal by letting a lie sit my throne after me. The North will answer. The Riverlands will answer. Dragonstone will answer. Storm's End will answer. The Reach will answer if Renly smiles hard enough. Dorne will answer because they have waited 15 years to see you bleed lawfully. Even the Vale may open a window if Lysa decides ravens are less frightening than lions." "Nah." Tywin stared. "You have gold," Robert said. "I have had enough of buying silence with it." No one had ever seen Tywin bend the knee unwillingly. He did not do so now. But after a long silence, he bowed his head. A fraction. For Tywin, it was a collapse. "I will consider the crown's terms," he said. "You will accept them by dawn," Robert answered, "or I ride again. You are in no condition. I am often stupid in inspiring ways." Tyrion laughed once, unable to help himself. Tywin looked at him, and the laugh died. The court was dismissed in pieces because too much truth released at once might riot in corridors. Cersei was taken back under guard. Jaime asked to see her and was refused. Joffrey was not brought. Tommen and Myrcella were spared the hall. Sansa heard the decrees from Ned that evening and wept for reasons even she could not sort. Arya asked whether the wall was worse than death. Ned said some men found purpose there. Arya said Jaime did not deserve purpose. Ned said deserving was not always the point. Arya said grown men made justice too complicated. Ned had no wish to disagree. That night, Robert sat alone with Ned in the council chamber. No wine stood on the table. "You think I was too merciful," Robert said. "I think you were more merciful than many expected. That is not an answer. It is the only one I have." Robert leaned back. "I wanted Cersei dead when she stood there, even in white. Especially in white. I know. I wanted Jaime dead more. Yes, I still do. Yes." Robert looked at him. "You would stop me. Yes, you have grown bold. You asked me to." Robert rubbed his wound gently, grimacing. If Jon Arryn had lived, would he have stopped all this? Perhaps. Perhaps is a coward's word. It is an honest one. The king smiled tiredly. "There you are again." For a while, they listened to the city beyond the windows. King's Landing never slept. It muttered, bargained, coupled, prayed, stole, dreamed, and rotted through every hour. A million lives pressed around a hill where a few dozen highborn liars had nearly destroyed them all. Robert said, "I cannot mend it. No, I can only stop breaking it for a while. That may be enough." "It isn't." "No," Ned said. "But it is what you have." At dawn, Tywin accepted the terms publicly and began undermining them privately before the ink dried. Jaime chose the wall because death was too easy and confinement too useless. Cersei chose neither silence nor permanent imprisonment, demanding trial by the mother's mercy, by old law, by any path that might lead back to her children. Stannis objected to every compromise. Renly cultivated every witness. Varys listened. Baelish smiled less. Tyrion drank more. The realm did not heal, but it did not split. Not yet. The wall received the news late, as it received most things. Ravens disliked cold almost as much as men did, and messages that flew swiftly between southern castles seemed to grow old crossing the north. By the time the blackbird came beating through snow to Castle Black, Robert had survived fever, judgment, road, court, and the first month of peace that was not peace, but exhaustion, in nicer clothes. Jon read the message in the yard while wind clawed at his cloak. "The king lives. The queen confined. The false prince removed. Lord Stark remains hand. The succession settled upon Stannis. Jaime sentenced to take the black. The realm commanded to maintain peace." He read it twice before the cold reminded his fingers to hurt. Jor stood beside him. Bear cloak rimed with frost. "Well?" Jon handed him the parchment. The old commander read without expression. Men who had led the Night's Watch long enough learned to distrust every southern upheaval equally. Wars sent recruits, sometimes gold, often nothing. Kings remembered the wall in speeches and forgot it in ledgers. Lords swore by honor until harvest failed or ambition ripened. The dead beyond the wall did not care which stag, lion, wolf, or dragon men killed one another for. "Your father lives," Jor said. "Yes, that is good." Jon nodded. It was. The word felt too small. Ned lived. "Sansa and Arya were safe," the raven said, though ravens were made of feathers, not certainty. "The king lived. The realm had not torn itself into hungry crowns." Jaime was coming to the wall, which seemed impossible and then inevitable, because where else did ruined vows go when they still knew how to hold a sword? Will he truly come? Jon asked. If he chooses the black over a cell, will men accept him? Jor snorted. Men accept murderers, poachers, rapers, thieves, broken knights, starving boys, and lordlings with wounded pride. They can learn to accept a kingslayer, or they can freeze while complaining. Jon looked south, though no south could be seen beyond the yard and gate, an endless white. He tried to kill my father. I do not know if I can stand beside him. You will learn many things you do not know yet. That was the wall's kindness. It promised nothing and taught anyway. In the library, Aemon listened to the message by candlelight. Sam read it aloud, stumbling only once over the names because names had weight and some were heavier than others. The old maester sat with blind eyes turned toward flame he could no longer see. "So Robert lives," he said. "Yes, Maester. And the children are spared? It says under royal protection." Aemon smiled faintly. "There is mercy in that." Sam shifted. "Some would say danger. Mercy is always dangerous. That is why men prefer cruelty and call it strength." Jon stood near the shelves, silent. Aemon's blind face turned toward him. "You are troubled." "Yes." "Because your father remains among lions?" "Yes." "Because a man who broke vows may take yours." Jon did not answer. "Because a dragon girl across the sea may now hate the realm with reason?" Jon looked up. Aemon smiled sadly. "Ravens bring more than one message, if one listens to the spaces between." Sam frowned. "Dragon girl? A child no longer, perhaps. News travels in fragments. Poison pardon, horselords promises. The world moves even when the wall stands still." Jon felt the old stories stirring in the cold. Dragons and others. Southern thrones and northern darkness. He had come to the wall to become no one's bastard, and found instead that names traveled even here. "What should we do?" Sam asked. "Red," Aemon said. Sam blinked. "Red? Men swing swords at what they understand too late. Read first." The old maester reached for the candle's warmth and did not touch flame. "And pray the South remembers us before remembering becomes impossible." South, in King's Landing, Robert walked with Ned in the Godswood. It was not a true Godswood as Winterfell's was. The heart tree in the Red Keep had a carved face, but no old power Ned could feel. Its leaves were not as red, its silence not as deep. Yet it was the quietest place left to them. Quiet had become precious. Robert walked with a cane and hated it. He had cursed the thing for a week, then named it after Pycelle and found some peace in leaning on it. His wound had closed, but not vanished. It pulled when weather changed. It ached when he drank. It stabbed when he laughed too hard. It had become a counselor he could not dismiss. "You are leaving," Robert said. "Soon. Caitlin wants you home?" "Yes." "And you?" "Yes." Robert grunted. "You could pretend to struggle. I have been in the South long enough." "You say that as if it is a sentence served." Ned looked at him. Robert laughed. "Aye, fair." They walked beneath leaves. 2 guards waited at a distance. Barristan had objected to the distance. Robert had called him nursemaid. Barristan had replied that nursemaids kept kings alive more often than kings appreciated. Robert liked him better for it. "Stannis will make a miserable hand," Robert said. "Then do not name him. He is heir. He should learn which levers move and which merely squeak. He will offend half the court by noon." "Good. The other half can wait until supper." Ned almost smiled. "Renly will not enjoy being watched. Renly enjoys being watched. He will not enjoy being measured." "And Tywin?" Robert's humor faded. "He pays. He plots. He breathes. I cannot forbid the last, sadly." "Gregor?" "Still missing. Hidden." Ned stopped near the tree. "That cannot stand. It not." "You said that as king or as angry man?" Robert considered. "Both. But in the proper order. Me." That was new enough to count as progress. The Queen had been moved under guard to a fortified sept outside the city, while the Faith considered forms old enough to make even Pycelle feel young. Jaime had departed north with an escort of Black brothers and royal men, leaving behind one final request to see Cersei. Robert denied it. Ned argued once, and then did not argue again. Mercy had limits, and sometimes the limit was the king's ability to endure the sight of love he despised. Joffrey remained under guard, sullen, and watched. Tommen had taken to lessons with unusual seriousness, as if sums and letters might build a place safe from blood. Myrcella wrote to Cersei every week. Robert read none of the letters, though he asked whether they were sent. Sansa was to return north with Ned. She had changed. Not hardened exactly. Hardness was too simple a word for a girl whose softness had survived disappointment. She carried herself more quietly, listened more, smiled less for strangers. Arya was delighted to leave and furious that Syria would not come, until he told her every water dancer must learn farewell or drown in memory. She cried only after he left the room. Robb would return with the northern host before harvest. Catelyn had already gone ahead, unwilling to leave Bran and Rickon longer than necessity demanded. She had clasped Ned's hands before leaving the Riverlands and said, "Come home whole." He had not promised because Catelyn disliked lies and he loved her too much to offer one. Robert looked up at the carved face in the tree. "Do your gods judge?" "Yes." "What do they say?" "They are trees. Helpful. They listen." Robert leaned on his cane. "I do not know how to be this." "What?" He gestured vaguely. To himself, the keep, the crown, the city, the consequences. Awake. Ned let that sit between them. Robert said, "When I was young, I thought life was a thing charging at me. If I hit hard enough, laughed loud enough, took what I wanted loudly enough, it would all stay simple. Then, I won. After that, everything came soft. Cups, women, she, lies, debts, flatterers. I thought softness was peace. No, it can be. Not mine." A red leaf fell between them. Robert watched it land. "I dreamed last night I was on the Trident again. Rhaegar was there, but when I struck him, rubies did not fall. Teeth did. Golden teeth. Then the river filled with children's toys. Stupid dream. No dream is wise while being told." The king snorted. "You should put that on a banner. House Stark. Grim sayings for all occasions." Ned's mouth twitched. Robert's expression grew serious. "I loved her wrongly." Ned did not ask whom. "I loved Lyanna as if wanting were proof. As if grief made me faithful. As if a dead girl could save me from living women." Robert's grip tightened on the cane. "I made a kingdom kneel to a wound I never let close." Ned's throat tightened. "Robert, no. Let me have one honest speech before you flee back to Snow." So Ned listened. "I do not forgive Cersei," Robert said. "I do not forgive Jaime. I do not forgive myself either, which is inconvenient because I am always present. But I will not spend the rest of my reign chasing ghosts with children's heads. If the dragon girl comes, I will meet her as king, not butcher. If Tywin schemes, I will answer as king, not cuckold. If Stannis scolds, I will endure him as punishment from gods I do not believe in. If Renly smiles too much, I will tax velvet. Ayando, that may be your wisest policy." "I thought so." They stood in almost companionable silence. Then Robert said, "Stay another year." "No." 6 months. "No." 1 month. "My daughters leave within the week." "Damn you." "You will manage." "I hate managing." "Yes." Robert sighed. "Will you come if I call?" "Yes." "Ace friend or hand?" Ned looked at him. "If you call rightly, both." The king nodded. That was all he could ask. Far to the east, Daenerys sat beside 3 stone eggs and listened to Drogo's bloodriders speak of ships. The eggs were beautiful and useless, or so she had been told. Green, cream, black, scaled in stone, warm sometimes in ways no one else admitted feeling. She touched them when decisions crowded too close. Her husband wanted war because insult demanded it. Her riders wanted plunder because riders always did. Jorah counseled delay, ships, alliances, knowledge. Magisters sent gifts. Assassins sent fear. Robert sent apology and blood price, late and heavy with a guilt she did not know whether to trust. She had read his letter many times. He did not beg. Kings rarely know how. But he admitted command. He admitted risking it. He offered payment for insult and guarantee against further attempts. He called her princess, not girl. He did not call her rightful queen. That omission mattered. What will you answer? Jorah asked. Daenerys looked at the eggs. That I lived. He waited. That I remember. Is that all? For now. The old knight bowed his head. In politics, for now could be mercy or threat. With dragons, perhaps both. At the wall, Jaime arrived before the first deep snows. He came with hair shorn shorter, beard roughened by road, white cloak gone, black waiting. Men gathered to watch him dismount. Some spat, some stared, some saw only a famous sword arm and wondered if he would train them. Jon stood among them with Ghost at his side. Jaime saw him. For a moment, the yard narrowed. The man who had pushed Bran from a tower looked at Ned's bastard and did not know how much the boy knew. Jon knew only fragments, enough to hate without shape. Ghost growled softly. Jaime smiled with exhaustion instead of mockery. You have his look. Jon said nothing. Your father's. He is not dead. No, few convenient people are. Jor stepped between them before silence became blade work. You will say your vows when commanded. Until then, you will obey Shiwan Turbandaraya. Jaime looked up at the wall, endless and pale and pitiless. I have obeyed worse. No, Jor said. You have obeyed easier. That night, in the common hall, Jaime sat apart. Jon watched him from a distance and felt hatred searching for certainty. Sam asked whether he was afraid. Jon said no too quickly. Tyrion had once told him never forget what you are. Jaime had forgotten, perhaps, or remembered too selectively. Now the wall would give him one name and take the rest if it could. A raven left Castle Black the next morning for King's Landing. The message was brief. The Kingslayer had arrived. The watch requested the promised men, grain, wool, steel, and coin. Robert read it at breakfast and pushed away his wine. Send double, he said. Pycelle blinked. Double, your grace? Doe ravens stutter? No, your grace. Then double. Stannis, seated nearby because Robert had discovered torment could be made useful by inviting him to every council, nodded approval. The wall has been neglected. Robert pointed at him. Do not make me regret wisdom by agreeing with me. Renly laughed. Even Stannis' mouth moved faintly. It was not happiness. The Red Keep had little talent for that. But it was something like breath. Years later, men would argue over when the war truly ended, or whether it had merely been delayed. Some would say Robert's survival saved the realm. Others would say it preserved rot in a prettier jar. Tywin would retreat to the west, richer in hatred than poorer in gold. Cersei would never forgive. Jaime would find that snow-stripped vanity more slowly than flesh. Stannis would wait his heir with the patience of a drawn blade. Renly would gather friends as gardens gather bees. Ned would return north with daughters changed and secrets heavier for having survived another southern summer. Daenerys would dream of fire. The wall would watch darkness move where maps ended. The realm had not been healed by a wounded king. No realm is healed so easily. But the great slaughter that should have followed Robert's death did not come in the shape men expected. No boy king took Ned's head before a cheering crowd. No northern host crowned Robb in grief. No 5 kings tore the harvest from the earth all at once. No queen ruled through a child's cruelty while lions devoured law. The Riverlands burned, but not to ash. The North bled, but not beyond recall. The Stormlands murmured. The Reach calculated. The Vale hid. Dorne remembered. The Iron Islands waited, and the crown, cracked and ugly, remained upon the head of a man who had finally felt its weight. One evening before Ned left, Robert stood on the battlements overlooking Blackwater Bay. He could not stand long without pain. He stood anyway. Ships moved below, their sails reddened by sunset. Somewhere in the city, bells rang for evening prayer. Somewhere else, men drank to rumors already becoming history. Ned joined him without speaking. "I used to think surviving was victory," Robert said. "It can be. Not by itself." "No." The king leaned on the stone. "The boar should have killed me." Ned looked at him. "Perhaps." Robert smiled. "Cruel when honest. You ask honest questions." "Rarely." They watched the sun sink. At last, Robert said, "When singers tell it, make them say I killed the boar." "You did. Good. Then at least one part will be true." Ned almost laughed. The light faded from the bay. Behind them, the Red Keep filled with candles. Before them, the water darkened toward night, and all the unseen roads beyond it. To Dragonstone, to Winterfell, to Casterly Rock, to the Wall, to the Grass Sea, to places where old powers stirred under ice and fire. Robert breathed carefully against the ache in his side. He was alive. For a king, for a friend, for a realm built on lies and trying clumsily to stand upon truth, that was not enough. But it was a beginning.